Diamondbacks. We spent time in each clubhouse before the game here today. Give us some perspective after game one. Let's start with the Phillies from your perspective, Jack.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys. Rob Thompson's done exactly what he has wanted to do as far as get the lead early and then get this home field advantage behind you.
What's going on, everybody? John here with you. It is a Tuesday night, October 17, 2023. How's everybody doing out there today with me? I got Alek coming in here into this Twitter/X space. So we will give you game 2 of this NLCS. I'll go through the starting lineups here for you first. So head coach by Torey Lovullo, it is Corbin, Carroll, Ketel, Marte, Tommy Pham, Christian Walker, Gabriel, Moreno, Lourdes, Gurriel Jr., Alek Thomas, Evan Longoria, and Geraldo Perdomo. And for the Philadelphia Phillies, head coach by Rob Thompson, the lineup sounds like this: Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Alec Bohm, Bryson Stott, JT Realmuto, Nick Castellanos, Brandon Marsh, and Johan Rojas on that side. And from what we know, Alek, this is a Philadelphia Phillies team that is just blasting the baseball out of Citizens Bank Park. And I know most people will not label this as a must-win in just a game 2. But you got Aaron Nola on the mound against Merrill Kelly. And I think this is about as close to it as it gets.
It surely is. You would expect that game 1 would have been a pitching matchup between Zach Wheeler and Zach Gallen. But the Phillies did not even let Zach Gallen get comfortable when he came onto the mound to start things off. Because the Phillies, they were hitting dingers left and right. Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, in the first inning, set the tone for that game for the Phillies to go up 5-0. Even when the Diamondbacks trying to come back, it still wasn't enough for them. So they'll have to get a nice outing here from Merrill Kelly if they were to get back in the series headed to Chase Field.
I've seen a lot of this stuff on MLB Network as I've been checking things in and out, and they all of them mention, especially Dan Plesac will throw it out there a lot often, and says that the Phillies have the 2 best starters remaining in the postseason, Wheeler and Nola tonight. And I know for Nola's numbers, especially on the last year's side, he was close to a 4.91 ERA. But right now in the postseason, he's about 1.42. I think the numbers are probably somewhere in the middle, and we know how good he is. I just want to make this note a little bit that was different from last year. When I thought about JT Realmuto and Nick Castellanos in the middle of the lineup in the World Series, they didn't seem to have a lot of protection. Now you move them down to 6 and 7. You add Trey Turner in the offseason. I mean, look, Kyle Schwarber's hitting 197, but you know what helps? When you got 47 home runs and 104 RBI on that side. So this team just seems like it has a lot of protection. And on this side, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but it really feels like a Rangers-Phillies World Series is on the horizon if things don't change tonight.
Yeah, it seems like there may be the way that it's going to go up based on what we're seeing here. Because I covered the first 2 games of the Lone Star ALCS. And I've seen the Rangers come up out on top of both those 2 games. The Rangers had as many hits in the first 2 innings of game 2 than they had all of game 1. Let that sink in. They can score at will, but I expected game 1 of that series to be a pitching duel, and I was not disappointed by it to see that it lived up to that name. Game 2, I saw that the offenses break a little loose there, especially both teams, with their Astros rallying around. Perhaps the Phillies may have something similar in store here in game 2, now that everything is broken loose, and that these number 2 starters are coming into the mound for each of their respective teams.
So I know you gave the breakdown for the ALCS. You covered the first 2 games, and thankful for that. You were able to shed some light on it because I want to be able to do a little bit of that tomorrow and see what happens. I know the schedule will open up for me next week, so that way we can lock in on some of this before the World Series starts. But I do got to get your thoughts. As far as Texas and Houston, you and I said the same thing. I know that you've been way out in front of picking predictions. I only started in the playoff side, but as soon as the playoffs started, I wanted to make a mention of the football side of the picks that I do. I threw a baseball prediction out there. I said the Texas Rangers will go to the World Series, but I wasn't keen enough to say in between the Braves or the Phillies because I just didn't know, right? It was so big on that side, but the pitching was definitely in favor of Philadelphia, and that's why they beat the Braves. But for the Texas Rangers, I mean, they've gotten the pitching now, Alek, and they're undefeated in the postseason. And all we asked for, Alek, is if they got some pitching, Texas would be extremely dangerous, and they really look like it.
and they have looked dangerous for the most part, especially considering the pitching. They have turned things around, even in the bullpen. Their bullpen was 4.77 ERA on average during the regular season. They turned that down to 2.16 entering the ALCS in the postseason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of stayed that way from the first game that we covered with the Tampa Rays. And you know what's funny? I'll just make this observation before we get into it. All the teams that won 100 games were all the teams that lost first.
It's incredible. And only one division winner remains, the Astros. And they're down 0-2 to the Rangers.
So maybe there is something to be said about, again, pacing yourself. I understand injuries are part of the game, but just to be able to get in. I mean, the Philadelphia Phillies this year had a horrible start to the year, but they got into the wild card, and look how good they've been doing now. And I mean, you think about home field advantage, or I guess road side of it, the Phillies have been really good. Texas has been really good. But we're going to be getting underway here. Aaron Nola, 4-2 with a 376 postseason career in 7 starts. Again, 491 last year, about 115 right now in a couple starts, and about 12 and a third. So that's what we're looking at. This is a guy that can throw 5 different pitches, maybe top out about 95 miles an hour. But he's a guy, when you make the argument, you say pitcher's pitch, and what I mean by that is he can paint corners. And he knows what spots to pick to be able to get batters off balance.
He definitely can. If we speak of Aaron Nola, he and Zach Wheeler definitely that 1-2 punch for Philadelphia. Wheeler being the number 1, Nola backing him up as the number 2, and he's been filling in nicely on that spot.
So I've heard a lot about Corbin Carroll. I haven't been able to really cover the Diamondbacks, so it'll be nice to see this now. But again, these are just regular season numbers. But what's really eye-popping to me, my friend, is 54 stolen bases.
That's like you're catching up with Ronald Acuna Jr. on that category, going stolen base after stolen base. Just remember, Acuna had 73 of those.
Yeah, and you have 25 home runs on top of that. So you have speed-power combination, and that's very rare in baseball in regards of all that, because usually you have one tool or the other, but this guy's got pretty much all 5. It's a 1-1 count here. Nola about to throw his 3rd pitch of the game, but you got to be careful with Carroll because he can turn a single into a double. And this is going to be right to the shortstop and a drop by Turner, and he's got no play.
Oh, bad break for Trey Turner. I remember when Trey Turner, he committed 2 errors in Game 2 against Atlanta. That was key to Atlanta winning that game. There was another one of those errors, and Corbin Carroll capitalized off that. The rookie coming up sharp here for Arizona.
Yeah, you get any sort of bobble, my friend, there is no chance to get Corbin Carroll at first. And I mean, that seemed like a pretty sure hop. We're not talking about a turf situation that we talked about in Tampa, so we'll have to see if they can make the adjustment. You got Ketel Marte, the switch hitter, immediately offers at the first pitch, puts it on the right field line foul.
You know about Ketel Marte and Corbin Carroll leading the first 2 off, and to follow that one up, Tommy Pham, who came over from the Mets, and he's been coming up big as the DH for Arizona.
Yes, he has. He's a guy that can play that left field corner that he did with the Boston Red Sox. But in that trade, it's been 50 games of pretty solid numbers. But we'll see what Ketel Marte can do here. Batting second in the order, the switch hitter. Again, he's in the infield now. He's going to cue this one in the same spot, and we'll do it again 0-2.
Second straight foul ball to the ground right side for Ketel Marte. And if you're Marte, you'd imagine that you need to get a pitch that you like from Aaron Nola. It's not going to be easy, though, because Nola is really good as number 2 starter.
Yes, he is. And again, from what you're saying about finding that pitch, you want to be able to get Corbin Carroll. A single gets him to third base. I mean, that's how fast he is. So Nola is going to deliver here, and this is swung and a missed on a devastating curveball. Nola gets the strikeout.
And right below the zone, he was trying to just golf swing that one right up and paid the price for it.
Yeah, when you can go from 95 to about 78 in that differential, I mean, that's about as hard as it gets. And again, you pay the price when you take those big swings. I think that's perfectly said. When you got somebody like Carroll on base, I'll just hammer it home again. You just need to make contact, and anything can happen at this point. We just saw what happened with Trey Turner. So we'll see what Tommy Pham's going to do. Again, in his 50 games since the trade, 241, which is not too bad. 6 bombs and 32 RBI as Nola does not get the call. That one was a ball, but that will draw the fans' ire.
I mean, just below the zone, just slightly inches below the zone. When coming on that.
Pitch number 7 is going to be a short lead off here for Corbin Carroll, and that will draw a throw back to Bryce Harper. And again, for Bryce Harper, when you think about it, first base, this was not his primary position, but he had to do that a little bit this year from some of the injuries. And he's looked very solid at that spot, and that allowed the rest of the lineup for Rob Thompson to just continue to add more hitters in there, and that's exactly what you want. So the pitch clock down to 5. That is a good-looking curveball and an inside, but Nola does get the call on this one, make it 1-1.
You speak of Bryce Harper. He had a home run on his birthday yesterday. He recently turned 31, so happy late birthday to him. So he can play anywhere on this lineup now that you think about him being inserted to first base. Not his primary position, but with Kyle Schwarber listed as a DH, he played at DH during the World Series 7 years ago with the Cubs. So he's used to that, so that allows Bryce Harper to move out of the DH and onto first base.
Yeah, that makes it easy on that side because, like you said, Schwarber, that's where you would want him. And then when you have Brandon Marsh and the Nick Castellanos, who played some sparkling outfield last year, they didn't even think he could play outfield when he was in Detroit. They always try to put him on the hot corner, but, man, he's really found a home in right field. So, again, as you said, the protection's been there, 1 and 2. Pitch clock down to 2, and they've used the second disengagement on Carroll. So he might be getting a little bit of loose feet here, Alek. You think he might go here even on a 1 and 2. So Tommy Pham's going to have to make contact with this.
He has to, 100%.
So Aaron Nola gets set to deliver on the 1 and 2, and Carroll's got a big lead now, but he doesn't go. And that is a strike that was right for the taking, almost in the middle of the heart. I'm not sure what Tommy Pham was doing there, but he's punched out.
Got to take a chance at it. You have to take those chances when it's going right down from Main Street, and that time he didn't, paid the price for it, and now leads us to Christian Walker at the plate.
So when I looked at these numbers as far as getting the notes ready just before game time here, 33 bombs and 103 RBI. So Christian Walker has definitely provided the offense, and this is a curveball way outside the zone. So again, the disengagements reset for each batter, so you get back to 2. But in the postseason, 250, 1 bomb, 5 RBI. He's 0 for 3 in game with a walk and a run scored. But you do have to be very careful with Christian Walker here, as he went for the downs on a fastball. He was late.
There's the importance of timing those swings. You got to know when and you can time those swings perfectly. And when it's a little late, 10 out of 10 times, it's going to be a swing and miss.
No doubt about that. And you're able to get that at 93 miles an hour, so you mixed up the speed. This is a curveball in off the hands. Bryce is going to back up, going to let it go for Bryce and stop. And Aaron Nola able to get out of the first. We'll go to the bottom first scoreless.
So nothing going there for Arizona after leading offensive playmakers in Carroll, Walker, and Marte. So see how Philadelphia responds with Schwarber, Turner, and Harper.
Yeah, looking at the lineup, my friend, I mean, I don't want to be disingenuous to any Diamondbacks fans because they've definitely earned their spot. When you sweep the Dodgers, it definitely puts everybody on order. But you look at this matchup on paper, and it feels one-sided to me. I'm not going to lie.
Kind of does, because you look at all the names that Philadelphia has, Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, Nick Castellanos, everyone from top to bottom, even the pitchers, Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, even the closer I need to mention, Greg Kimball, who had the save last night in game 1. That's a really nice lineup that Philadelphia has. Even though they had 90 wins on the year, they're not playing like a 90-win team. They're playing like a 100-win team.
Yeah, they are. And I think about it, too. I know he was a longtime GM of the Detroit Tigers, but Dave Dombrowski, he's moved over. I understand you don't always win, but every team that he's helped kind of construct around that time between Detroit and Philadelphia, and even the Marlins when they won, when it was Pudge and it was a young Miguel Cabrera on that end, he's been a part of that, and he's constructed a really good team. I know I heard the comments when the Philadelphia Phillies went to the next part of the series and playing the Diamondbacks, and he was asked by one of the reporters, he goes, "Are you glad that Dave opened the pocketbook to go ahead and get guys like Trey Turner?" He goes, "Well, yeah, I am, because it's not my money."
Sometimes I have been wondering about the Pirates and their uptrend towards the future. They're building around Brian Reynolds and keep Ryan Hayes.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a full year of O'Neal Cruz and Henry Davis as well. Have you thinking about that from time to time? Now that the Phillies are up this good, we need to have a fully competitive all Pennsylvania rivalry now in the MLB. Now that this is coming to fruition.
I like that. Those are some good young players that you mentioned on the Pirates side. Again, everybody wants to see them do well. Again, when I think about PNC and anytime I see them on TV, I think that's one of the most beautiful ballparks that are in the business. I want to see them do well because anytime I always think about Andrew McCutchen with the Dreads, that brings me some good times when I think about the Pirates.
And he's back for a second stint as their DH this time around, giving a veteran presence to this young core.
You got Turner and Harper second and third, and we look at it right now, Alek. I see 500 and 409 for the average hits.
That is a deadly 1-2 punch on the Phillies lineup. And both of them, Turner and Harper, formerly with Washington, now with Philadelphia, just a drive from the nation's capital. And so far, they have not disappointed.
No, they have not. And again, you also have a couple different players that are from Las Vegas, Nevada on that side, alongside Bryce Harper. Again, we talk about turned 31 years of age. When you think about Harper and Castellanos, it's just a question of how many home runs they're going to hit. And now for Kyle Schwarber, again, I always mention this when I talk about him. It's a home run, it's a walk, or a strikeout. Because you got 47 bombs, 126 walks, 215 strikeouts. And Kelly gets the call on a fastball outside the zone. It's 0-1 against Schwarber.
That nearly hit him. He had to jump out of the way to dodge that ball. Oh, wait. Oh, I may be ahead of that. But
you're just a little bit ahead of me on that side, but he had 1-1 as this next one came in there and hit him. So 4 home runs for a leadoff. It's the most in MLB postseason history. I think about him with Team USA alongside Trey Turner. And a lot of fireworks on that end, so we'll see what Schwarber can do with 1-1. Kelly, this is a curveball, and he was able to get Schwarber to reach for it. Easy toss over, and Schwarber's out.
Sometimes I think about Schwarber and his time with the Cubs when they won the World Series in 2016. He missed the majority of the regular season, came back for the World Series. They said he wasn't ready to play defense yet, so he listed him as DH, and that decision paid off. But what just happened? When Trey Turner, that bat came flying out of his hands.
Oh my goodness, down the left field line. Thankfully, they have the nets. That almost went in toward the dugout side.
Oh, I mean, that was so close. We witnessed some bizarre events here in baseball. You remember George Kirby getting hit by a baseball from the stands.
Yes.
And now this happens.
Yeah, we were covering that game when that happened. We just couldn't believe that. So you're going to get a little more of that spray on the gloves and make sure you get some stickum on that bat. They let you use that. You just can't have the pine tar on the top of it. And Turner will get set to dig back in. His camera's doing a shot at TBS and Corbin Carroll. I got to tell you, I love that Diamondback snake with the baseball on the side of it. I think that looks clean.
Oh, yeah. I love that logo, too.
Turner! High fly ball! Left field line! Gone! Put the spray on it! Hit the home run! It's 1-0 Phillies!
The Liberty Bell is another crack to it. As you mentioned about that deep left. And he rammed this one right into the first level. Amazing stuff from Trey Turner.
I'll be plain as day, my friend. I know we talked about it, and I'm trying not to hit these buttons too much, but Turner, Harper, Castellanos, how do you get these primetime players out? Do you understand? With swings like that, Merrill Kelly got bit with a fastball in the middle. That's why these guys make the big bucks. And now you got Bryce Harper, who has to look at one in on the foot. But, I mean, that's about as grand of a cut as you can get, and that's right down the middle. That's a mistake.
Oh, yeah. You mentioned Trey Turner, and he can hit dingers for days when he sees balls roll like those. Same thing with Bryce Harper and Nick Castellanos, who has had a home run in every of the last 3 games that he has played, at least 2. Well, he had 2 each in games 3 and 4 against Atlanta.
Yes, he did. And when he was asked in the post-game side, he goes, "Are you made to play for Philly?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'll clean up the comment, but he goes, yeah, I F with Philly. I like Philly. You know, he's very candid about his interviews, Nick Castellanos, but he does not lack confidence. Bryce Harper's got a 3-0 count. We'll see if he wants to get nasty here, or if this is going to be a pretty much intentional walk. And Harper is going to get his walk, so that will leave it up to Alek. Boom.
I remember in a previous game when one of these two teams between Atlanta and Arizona, they decided to intentionally walk Bryce Harper to get Alek right in and giving the Phillies perhaps lesser of a chance to get a bat, because Alek before this series, the only hit that he has had was the first pitch that he saw in Game 2 against Atlanta.
Alek last year in the postseason was able to perk up a little bit. So if they can get any more extension of that, I mean, my goodness, for what this lineup's already doing, that puts them even more in the driver's seat. Really good pitch for Kelly there as he gets the fastball in the bottom corner.
I mean, just right inside the line. And normally when those balls get delivered right inside the line, it would catch these throwers. It would catch all these. It would catch these batters guessing.
Yes, it would. You want to try to get one of those worm burners, they call it. Get a ball on the ground, try to turn a double play. That's what Kelly's looking for right now. Again, when it was Team USA versus Team Japan, and Miro Kelly was part of it, he was very hittable. And again, this lineup is pretty close as far as you get a throw over, and Bryce Harper gets back. But again, when I talk about Team USA and I talk about the Phillies, the reason I bring that up is because you had Trey Turner, you had JT Realmuto, and Kyle Schwarber on Team USA side. So majority of the Phillies are on that side as Bryce Harper does just get back.
And just right back. It was inches away from getting tagged out. I mean, just mere inches.
So boom now. We'll wait on the 1-1. And this is a fastball into center field. Carroll makes the catch at the wall just before it, and Bohm almost was able to get a home run just after the Harper walk.
That was so close. It was going to the warning track. It looked like it had the distance, and it did have the distance when it was on its way. Alek Thomas, though, saw it, and there's no sunlight to obstruct his vision. So I remember yesterday, there was some sunlight in the direction of Kyle Tucker when trying to chase after ball. He caught it and made sure of that.
Yeah, thankfully there are no element situation, no rain or anything else like that, especially in this NLCS. We're going to be playing in Philadelphia is not a dome, but everywhere else that they go will be, so there should not be any weather elements on that to speak of, especially in a night game like this. Bryson Stott, 208, 1 home run and 7 RBI in the postseason. It does help. You got JT Realmuto and Nick Castellanos up next, and Stott does get a good hack at it, but he puts it down the right field line foul.
You mentioned about the elements. I remember about that 17-minute rain delay in perhaps the greatest World Series ever played. You think of 7 years ago, and among these 4 baseball stadiums left, Citizens Bank Park is the only one that does not have a roof.
Yeah, nothing to be close. Harper's going to take off, and Stott will follow this one back. So good to see Bryce Harper run a little bit because he does have some speed. And you think about JT Realmuto coming up next. He's a catcher that averages about 25 bags, but he's got 16 this year. I know Realmuto's turning 32 now, but they want him to run less, but Harper can still use his feet.
Yeah, he has the quickness to advance right through the bases and get them stolen, and get them away from opposing defenses. You think of Trey Turner and how he constantly steals bases with his legs.
Yes, and I mean, look at it. We just talked about Bryce Harper. He was able to get back barely on one, and they throw over again. So they use 2 disengagements on Bryce, so they know they're thinking he might go. 0-2. Bryson Stott. This is a fastball way outside the zone, trying to look to get him the chase, but we'll do it again.
Oh, perhaps Bryce Harper, if we think about it. I'm going to stop.
We'll see what's ahead of me now. I'm intrigued as it's Bryson Stott. Here he'll throw it across, and it should be a dead duck here at second. Harper's out. Kelly gets out of it. A little bit of a bailout there, but the Phillies do get 1 run. It was a Turner bomb. Maybe they could have had more, but they'll take it. After one, Phillies up.
Kind of pains me about the Alek missed home run because it looked like it had the distance back then. And now when you think of that, if it weren't for that stolen base, and if it weren't for that if it weren't for the Bohm hits getting more on the distance, the Phillies would be up 2-0 now, and they have 2 outs by this point, and it will still be the first inning.
Yeah.
And now we'll have the Diamondbacks back in the bats.
Yeah, we'll have to see if the stolen base again looms large. Again, sometimes you hit the ball hard, things happen. You talk about it with Nick Castellanos against the Braves and when getting doubled up. And then the Braves made a big stink about it with Orlando Arcia. That didn't work out very well.
No, it didn't. Especially you consider the Braves, it's perhaps the best pitcher in the NL is Spencer Strider, and not to mention about Max Fried being quality number 2. But 10 times out of 10, you don't win a series when your number 3 gets smoked to the tune of 10 runs in a game.
Yeah, it was not good pitching there for the Braves on that side for Spencer Strider and everyone else. I know you got voice lessons and stuff and classes for tomorrow, so I don't want to push you. But if you do want to go inning by inning and switch off, we can definitely do that in the play-by-play, or if not, I can take it.
Perhaps. Maybe.
No, that's fine. So I can I'll throw these in there. I'll work the innings, and if you want to take an inning or whatever else, you just let me know on this side because I'll be here for today. Tomorrow, I know you got class, and then I have Saturday on location assignment, and then Sunday I think I'll double up with the Flames and the Redmonds. I'll probably be on my own for that one. Usually cover that with Cooper, but that game's at like 5 p.m. two for him on the California side, so that'll probably be tough, but I'll get that done. As far as next week, I think you and I will be fine as far as all the stuff we're going to do. So when we get to the World Series, I plan on pretty much doing all those games with you. I might miss maybe 1 or 2, but we're going to be going to the World Series, and I'll take a break from the NHL for a bit.
I may have you covered for Thursday, and in that sense, between the Rangers and Astros. So I got you covered on that front. If it goes to a game 5, and that means if because they have marked it if necessary,
right.
And I think it may be, then Friday I may get you covered there.
All right, so we'll have wall-to-wall coverage here for the ALCS and NLCS for the most part because I will need at least a day to get prep assignment for Saturday. So Alek, Daddy and Alek will have the call for us on Twitter Spaces side of it, and I'll try to give the game stories across, and I'll give him a shout-out across, but so everybody knows. Again, he's got a lot more followers than I do, but make sure you give everybody a listen because they have good commentary and everything else across wherever it gets brought in. But Gabriel Moreno, I have to think that he should still be a former Blue Jay. I don't know about that Dalton Varsho trade, but Moreno's now a member of the Diamondbacks, and I think he's going to be so for a long time.
Oh, yeah, for sure. With the Dalton Varsho, you may have nailed it.
I just don't think that made much sense. And now for the Blue Jays being eliminated, you get it every year that passes as Moreno blasts one down the third base line. Bob dives, throws out. What a defensive play!
You think of the Diamondbacks and their defense of Evan Longoria being a defensive phenom. Alek says, "Allow me to introduce myself." So anything that Longoria can do, Pham can for sure do that too.
Nothing wrong with what Moreno did. He hits it right at the hot corner. He's hustling down that first base line, but casual pickup throw. He knew how much time he had. Bounced it to Harper. That is gorgeous defense.
Gorgeous indeed. I can look at this on replay every day and say, my goodness. It doesn't get any prettier than that with those diving catches.
No. And when you think about it on the other side, the reason why you mentioned the Blue Jays back-to-back formers, now you got Lourdes Gurriel Jr., 261, 24 bombs, 82 RBI in the regular season. He's definitely a guy that can play the corner outfield as a curveball way inside and make it 2-0.
So the younger brother of Yuli Gurriel at the bat, you mentioned about Lourdes Gurriel and him and his 24 home runs in the regular season with his 261 batting average. He can send those dingers out when reliable, though. he's going up against a stacked Phillies team.
Yes, he is. And Nola, if he can do a little bit like Wheeler, let's say you go 6 and you give up maybe 2 or less. I understand that didn't work for JV in game 1, but I think the Houston Astros would definitely take 6 and 2 or less. So if you got Nola on this up for the Phillies, it's kind of the same deal because you know the closers and everybody else in the back end are going to finish the job. So 93 way outside the zone, make it 3-1.
And you mentioned Verlander. Even though the Astros lost game 1, Verlander did everything right in that game. Only giving up 2 runs, and that was it. Those were the only runs of that game. He was doing everything right. Was limiting the bullpen to just, say, 2 guys. Right? I wrote Hector Neris.
Right. And that's what you have to do, because if it was Pham or Valdez from last year, you'd think there'd be no problem. But Valdez does not look the same, and now with the Astros down 2-0, I mean, you're really looking at a situation where you got to win, 4 of the next 6 games against a Texas team? I don't see that happening. I don't see the Astros getting swept either, but we'll see. 3-2, full count pitch. As Gurriel try to get himself in the driver's seat, maybe get on base. And a good curveball had Gurriel out in front. It was a strike, but he went too quickly.
That's why the curveball is the most difficult pitch to hit. And that's why you can either swing too early because it is perhaps the slowest pitch to be thrown. And in other cases, it may curve downwards and you think it may be going to the middle. That's why it's the most dangerous pitch in baseball.
Yes, it is. And that's why you talk about Nola being an expert pitcher, that he can lock in the zones and use all of his pitches and throw them for strikes. When you top out at 93, 94, that doesn't seem like a lot. But when you mix in your curveball from 75 to 78, that makes things very difficult, especially when you can locate it for strikes. So Alek Thomas batting 190 in the postseason, but he did already make a sparkling catch as it's 1-1.
So you may think that Alek Thomas may get things around on offense, especially with the defense that he brings, to be a valuable two-way guy on the Diamondbacks, but it doesn't seem like he's going to get anywhere now as he grounds it out to second.
It's an easy inning for Nola, still 1-0, and now you have, I'm not going to say the meat of the order, but you do have JT Realmuto and Nick Castellanos and Brandon Marsh, 6, 7, 8. You can tell me during the commercial break if there are any easy outs in this Phillies lineup.
Well, with this Phillies lineup, I don't think there really is any, considering the batting order. You look at Trey Turner, Nick Castellanos, JT Realmuto, Bryce Harper, Brandon Marsh. They're all batting at least 250 or better. With every one of these, except for Realmuto, they're all batting at least 350. That's a very dangerous lineup in this postseason, and they've been hitting their stride.
Yeah, their depth, they're stacked. We talked about the back end bullpen. I got some names in front of me that we may or may not see, but you saw some of them yesterday. Sir Anthony Dominguez, Jose Alvarado, Gregory Soto, the former Tigers closer, and Keg Kimbrell, who did finish that one out. So, again, most of the back end for the Phillies are all closers on former teams. So, when most teams only have maybe 1 or 2, the Phillies have about 4 or 5.
And that makes the Phillies lineup so dangerous because you look at guys who usually have 2 closers. The Phillies have a elite bullpen that's full of closers. Because if you remember, about all the times we covered different MLB teams, normally the Mariners on that part in the regular season, the first 2 guys that normally came to mind are Andres Munoz and the guy who's now in Arizona, Paul Sewell.
Yeah.
Isaiah Campbell has been promoted to backup closer to Munoz after Sewell got traded away to Arizona. But now the Phillies, you got closers left and right between Craig Kimbrell and the guy who got the series-winning save in Game 4 against Atlanta, Matt Strom. And you mentioned Gregory Soto, Sir Anthony Dominguez. They're also dangerous too.
Yeah, I think this is a team that, again, they still have to get ahead of this between the Diamondbacks, so I won't get too far ahead of myself. And Texas is definitely going to be an offensive juggernaut. But again, both these teams will be fun to watch if that's what the World Series is going to be. But we know the Phillies made it there last year. We know the Astros took them out. But It certainly seemed like in the offseason, especially from the onset of the lineup that we're looking at, that Dave Dombrowski, Rob Thompson, again, Rob Thompson's been a great manager. Everyone else is kind of locked in. But they looked at their weaknesses. They've addressed those. They've added more depth. They added more depth in the bullpen side. I really see the Phillies as the best team that's left. No disrespect to Texas, because I know that their bullpen's been hot now, but it was not hot during the year. So that is just me. I would take the Phillies 1, Texas 2, the Astros 3, and the Diamondbacks 4. But for the Diamondbacks, getting a sweep of the LA Dodgers, that is no easy feat.
It is not. So I wonder about the Dodgers and the lack of the pitching staff, because compared to the start of the regular season, they only had one of their starting pitchers that was left for the start of the regular season, just as we have a pop-out here. And that lone starter was Clayton Kershaw, and he got dumped in one inning.
Yes, he did, as Alek Thomas makes the catch. And a slight correction on my part. Because Bryce got tossed out, it was Bryson Stott that leads off. And now we're going to get to Realmuto and Castellanos. So my apologies on that side. But, yeah, I know some people will short-sighted say, is Clayton Kershaw still a Hall of Famer? No doubt he's still a first-ballot Hall of Famer. Sometimes you have some rough games. I memean, look, Justin Verlander's been tagged in the World Series several times. He just got one of his few wins last year on that end. Sometimes you get tagged in a game one, you get tagged in a World Series. But make no mistake about it, for Clayton Kershaw, I'll just throw this out there, for everything that he did this year, and even at his advanced age, he's every one of the big reasons why the Dodgers got in the postseason.
He is definitely one of the big reasons why they got there. Still being ever so reliable, even though his fastball is not what it once was, he can still pitch some quality games.
Evan Longoria, not quite the play of Alec Bohm, but again, Longoria, I remember him a long time with the Tampa Bay Rays, but pretty solid defense for the 38-year-old.
And still going at 38 years old. Between Arizona, Tampa Bay, and San Francisco, his other team that he played for has been the past 5 years or so.
So Nick Castellanos, I think the swag game, I don't normally use that word, but I have to use it now, is at 100% right now as he rocks the open collar and that gold chain. I don't think anybody is more confident than Castellanos is, as this fastball is outside the zone, make it 2-0.
I mean, you speak of confidence and you mix in Nick Castellanos into that sentence. How else can you explain 5 home runs in your last 3 games? That reeks of amazing confidence. Well, he's even going to make it 6 in 4 games.
Ooh, a 2-0 pitch that he took for a strike. It wasn't right down the middle, but he was trying to just size up Merrill Kelly here, and we'll see what he'll do on pitch 25 for Merrill. It's very important that he limits the damage, but in the driver's seat is Castellanos, and he takes the curveball down and out. It's 3-1.
So sometimes when you look at those curveballs or changeups, because that time it was a changeup, you have to pitch those at the correct spots. Say through the center. Sometimes your curveballs, they can go up and then they can go below the zone. Other times they can go up above the zone initially and then go to center.
Yes.
That's what makes it dangerous.
Yeah, you got to watch that movement. You have to make sure you don't hang these pitches like Alek was just mentioned on that end, because Castellanos can take it deep. That previous pitch was a ball, and that was hammered down the right field line foul. It's a full count. Castellanos is prone to strikeouts. This one will be put to the left field line. And for Castellanos, again, I'll just scroll down here in the notes. In the regular season, 185 strikeouts, but yet still hit 272. He was a guy when he was in Detroit, regularly hits over 300. He didn't have the same type of home runs because Comerica Park a little less friendly than the Philadelphia Phillies ballpark and Citizens Bank is. But we'll do this again at 3-2 as Castellanos digs back in. This one in on the hands. This will get him out to the right field side as Corbin Carroll will the camp underneath it, and the Phillies go quietly. So after 2, it's 1-0 Philadelphia.
He wanted that. I can tell you by the look of his face, he wanted that home run. Looking to make it 6 home runs in 4 games. And it would have been amazing to see that, because he's the first player ever for Philadelphia to 2 home runs in back-to-back games. An outstanding accomplishment.
Yeah, it's really incredible, honestly. I mean, I understand some ballparks that kind of is a home run field of your swing. You know, you can get it to right field, you can get it to left field. Phillies are one of those ballparks. The Yankees are always been one of those ballparks, but still, he is in the zone. Trey Turner is, Bryce Harper is. They have the pitching that we mentioned. That's what makes it very difficult. Again, during this commercial break, I'm just going to keep an eye on some of the NHL scores. And no doubt, I think we can make the joke here, Alek, but the Edmonton Oilers are happy. They don't have to play the Canucks. They're up 3-0 on the Predators.
You know, I have this feeling of me about the Vancouver Canucks perhaps being a reinvigorated team with Rick Tocchet. They're now getting their penalty kill percentage well improved, and they're emphasizing that throughout the offseason, adding defensive guys. And that's what a Tocchet-led system would want. When you have guys like Ian Cole, Carson Soucy, Piers Suter, Teddy Bluger, all defensive-minded guys, and Suter and Bluger, they're defensive-minded forwards.
Yeah, I think that's well said by you. Again, they're dealing with some injuries. Again, they don't really have a top pairing, middle pairing kind of set. They have great players like Quinn Hughes and things like that. You know, they're locked in, but they're still going to be figuring some things out. But make no mistake about it, to get those openers home and away against the Oilers and score the way that they did, we already knew that they can score, but if they start to lock down and you get a healthy Thatcher Demko across the board, you can't sleep on the Canucks. So it's very important that they get off to a good start and continue the momentum.
I know Cooper said that he has the Canucks making the playoffs.
Yes.
And I'm not going to disagree with his decision, but I see it as realistic with the way the Canucks have been playing against the Oilers. And even though they're losing 2-0 to the Flyers, I'm not going to hold this loss against them. There's still 79 more games to go for Vancouver, so there's still time to keep them how they've been against Edmonton and do it on the 30 other NHL teams.
Once we get back to another commercial break, I do have a burning question that I want to throw on the hockey side. We'll flip this back in. Again, I'll work through the play-by-play stuff until Alek wants to move otherwise. If not, I'll cover the whole game and he'll back me up. Again, I'll be back for tomorrow's side, and then it'll be a couple days break before I see you back on Sunday for the local assignment here. But we will check back in to the top of the third in this fast-moving game. Aaron Nola back out on the mound as he gets a 93-mile-an-hour strike on a fastball against Evan Longoria.
Longoria is more known for defense. Here he's on offense, looking to swing and hit some dingers out of the park. But as we've seen for here, 1 run, 4 hits. He's batting at exactly 200. His 2 RBIs, no home runs. Has reached bases 5 total times, so he's more known on that defensive side.
Yeah, from what I've noticed, especially from the Tampa side, I didn't see him a lot in the San Francisco Giants. But on the Tampa side, he was a guy that was more for averages, not strike out. Again, his strikeout numbers in regular season are low at 73, but that 223 was normally a 260, 270. He's hit a little bit more home runs later in his career, going for that launch angle. And this one, he's going to go sit down and grab some pie. 93 down the middle, and Nola punches him out.
So you see with Longoria, he's hit just 11 home runs in the regular season. So that's 7 ahead of Emmanuel Rivera, who's not on the lineup right now. But Longoria, at that time, he took a chance on it. He was looking at that. Perhaps it was a little late or early. Mistimed it either way. And he's going to have to think about the swinging.
So Geraldo Perdomo, this will be a guy that I'll look at as far as the stats. I see him at 23 years of age. A switch hitter, playing shortstop, 246, 6 bombs, 47 RBI. Again, in the postseason, numbers are a little bit lower. Again, as a young kid going in the postseason, understand you got to learn what that takes against top-tier pitching. And he gets the call, does not want a curveball. That was a little low, make it 1-1.
We're seeing for every young guy the Diamondbacks have, the Phillies may have several more of those. You mentioned about key players. Johan Rojas has been relied on in key situations. So is Orion Kirkcurry. And the Phillies, they know how to get their young players involved in such key situations.
Yeah, to the point, counterpoint, I think that was perfect, Alek, because on this side, when you think about the young players of the Diamondbacks, yeah, it's a feel-good story, and the Phillies just say, hold my beer.
Just as to pop out.
So this will bring back up Corbin Carroll. And again, the boos are going to rain down, but I think that's only because you know how talented this guy is. The Phillies will keep everything on standby because he can definitely take a deep two. As this is a big cut by Carroll, but he can't get the changeup.
And I was just want you to write up the zone, and perhaps it was the bad decision to take a chance on that ball because it was going just to the right of the zone at the bottom right. It's a high risk, but even if you hit it at the right spot, that's high reward.
Phillies, you don't have to provide as much power when you're in Citizens Bank. So Corbin Carroll, if he can slash one down the line, he can definitely do damage. And that is a perfect sinker. Right in near the black, it tied up Carroll, make it 0-2.
That's how and Carroll has to take a chance on that. Did not, as this was going through upper left corner.
0-2. Curveball. This is nicely played by Harper. Can they get there in time and cover the bag? Nola does his job. Sparkling defense again for the Phillies. This time it was Harper.
And you mentioned about him being on first base, even though it's not his usual spot. He's been very effective on that first base spot when called upon. Just remember, they don't have Rhys Hoskins right now. And with him on the 68 injured list, that put in Harper at first base, and he has answered a call there.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, and I'm not going to say anybody's going to take Rhys Hoskins' spot. Definitely a major league player, but from the plays that Harper's made since moving over first time, and he feels pretty natural at that spot.
And it feels so. Now consider Hoskins is a free agent this offseason. There are going to be teams that are going for him and his services here. Say, one team that could use his services, my Pirates. I mean, take him from one side Pennsylvania to the other side Pennsylvania to throw that first base hole because we traded away Carlos Santana to Milwaukee during the season.
I think that's definitely a good call by you on that side because, look, nobody's not going to say that Rhys Hoskins isn't good enough. The Phillies would love to have him, but if Harper's going to play this good at first, again, there's no salary cap in baseball, but there's definitely tax. That's money you can go ahead and throw somewhere else as you continue to build your team, just all things considered. I do have to ask you this during the commercial break, though, but I'm looking at the score line. I see the Sabres are up 2-0 on the Lightning. I know the Red Wings got a victory over the Lightning, and they had to go with the back-to-back Ottawa side, and it's tough. But the one thing, you mentioned this last year, I'm doubling down on it now. I think the Lightning have some defensive troubles. I'm not even talking about Jonas Johansson. I'm talking about the defensive side. It hasn't looked very good to start the year.
I mean, this was something that I noted dating back to the tail end of last year.
Yes.
And you have the defensive core, and your top defensive guys are Victor Hedman, Mikhail Sergachev, and Aaron Chernak. And you bring in Calvin DeHaan, who has looked not at the part, not as good as what Ryan McDonough brought in during the Cup-winning years. I know you got Ian Cole last year as a stopgap defensive defenseman, and then Calvin DeHaan. It feels like the cap crunch is catching up to Tampa by this point with the pay cuts that they have to make to get lower-cost defensive defensemen. Now you have the other two guys, Nick Permix and Darren Radish, who started getting playing time last year.
Yeah, again, you said it perfectly. It's all about the cap crunch. Again, you have the 3 straight runs to the finals before all the stuff in the last year with Toronto. Make no mistake about it. No, we're not going to argue that Tampa isn't a good team, but you're starting to see the holes. And I think the team that was in the back-to-back-to-back Stanley Cup Finals, I think Tampa is on the downturn. I don't think that they're not a playoff team, but I don't think we're going to see the same dominance that we used to see.
I don't think so either. It feels like they capitalized on their cup window, and I think that window is starting to close with how the team is looking.
I think that's exactly where I'm going to be too on that, but I had to ask you. As it's Brandon Marsh, it'll be 8-9-1 due up here in this fast-moving bottom of the third. Look, Merrill Kelly's done the job so far right now. Again, he's only given up one. As this goes down third baseline, it's play ball for Longoria, 1 up and 1 down.
You look at the Diamondbacks, who have made 2 comeback wins this postseason, and with Torey Lovullo getting interviewed by Matt Weiner of TBS, and for sure, the Diamondbacks, they know how to come back when needed. You look at those games with the Milwaukee Brewers. They tried doing this again last night, but it wasn't enough just getting 3 runs because the Phillies were 5-0.
And look, we talk about it even in the wild card portion of it. It's not like the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to show bunt. This one goes foul, but it's not like the Arizona Diamondbacks didn't have to go through some tough pitching. Yeah, Woodruff got injured, but you still had to go through some of the stuff on the Milwaukee Brewers that was not easy at all.
No, especially you consider Corbin Burns
Right.
as the starter and the guy of the relief bullpen from Milwaukee, even the closer, Devin Williams.
I think you had Peralta mixed in there as well. I didn't want to blank on some of their names. I'm glad that you picked me up on that side. But yeah, with Devin Williams in the back end bullpen, I mean, these are the elite of the elite. Diamondbacks are able to do that. They were able to put a big number against Kershaw, and then now you have to go against Wheeler and Nola. I mean, they've gone through the pitching grinder, so to speak, as this goes all the way foul for Rojas. But again, Diamondbacks, as far as what they've had to face, I don't think it's any harder than that.
And it doesn't get any harder than that. With the Brewers, you had that nice lineup led by Christian Yelich, who has had a nice bounce back season.
Yeah.
And their pitching has been really good thus far. The Dodgers, on the other hand, good talent at bats, not so much at the mound.
Yes, I would completely agree with that on that side. Again, after Kershaw kind of drops off a little bit, and that's what you end up seeing, as this is a good pitch for Kelly, and Rojas will go sit down, and the sinker just caught the bottom of the zone.
I know Johan Rojas has been relied upon in this lineup for the Phillies, though he's been seen more on defense rather than offense throughout this postseason run for Philadelphia. And even though his batting numbers haven't been on par with how his defensive play has been, he still got himself a bright future ahead with Philadelphia.
Yes, he does. I'm just going to look and jump off the point you just made in the sense of it. It was 54 games in the regular season. He hit 302, so that was a hell of a call-up. But now I just updated. He's 2 for his last 26 with 10 strikeouts. So he's certainly going through it right now. And speaking of that possibility, they got Kyle Schwarber. He smashes into the right field line. Gone! 2-0 Phillies.
We may be seeing everything unfold here in Philadelphia. We may be seeing the road that is being paved, asphalt, concrete, you name it, on the road to. I'm not going to go ahead of myself, but if they keep this up, they may be World Series bound with how they're playing. Another short bomb to right field.
Look, I don't care that he hits 197. When he had the 47 bombs in the regular season, 104 RBI, 215 strikeouts, 126 walks, you make something happen. That's what Schwarber does, and he does it again. And now you have a threat of a back-to-back possibility in Trey Turner, who already went deep.
I mean, these top 2 guys for Philadelphia already going deep. Now we just wait and see for the top 3 guys going deep.
Right.
Because Philadelphia will love to see that happen and have another crack to the Liberty Bell.
Sinker on that side was a ball, but it was called a strike as Schwarber again. You get a chance to look at his swings on the TBS side. I mean, that had, again, Merrill Kelly on the 2 home runs. Those are hanging pitches right in the middle of the zone, and that's where they go. They go up the ballpark as a 90-mile-an-hour changeup at Turner way out in front, make it 1-2.
Just remember, the Phillies gave Zach Gallen all sorts of nightmares in game 1 of how his balls were being blasted left and right center. I mean, you can name any sort of pitch, and the Phillies, they were going to hit that right into the seats.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to get we've done a good job of not getting ahead of ourselves, but I think it's fair to say that Zach Gallen is a better pitcher than Merrill Kelly is, although Kelly has been hanging in there right now. But if the Phillies, let's say they get another 3 runs here and Arizona goes down by like 5 or more, I mean, I don't see any way they come back against the back end bullpen that we talked about.
I wouldn't think so either, because that bullpen for Philadelphia is so dangerous, as we have discussed.
So you have some danger on the base paths now, because when you think about Trey Turner, I'm not going to say they don't ask him to run as much anymore because he's got all the home runs, but he's still got 30 stolen bases on the year, and you have Bryce Harper on deck. So good luck to you, Mr. Mel Kelly.
I mean, this is a dangerous spot, too. These two former Washington Nationals, they can do damage here on the infield and at the bats. Trey Turner with his legs with the stolen bases. When he sees a wild pitch, he's just going to take off and run.
Schwarber is feeling the Rock vibes right now, and so is the rest of the crowd as everybody's waving the towels at Citizens Bank Park. You know what could potentially happen here. Again, it bears repeating, 409 in the postseason with 4 bombs and 7 RBI for Bryce Harper.
Perhaps one of the leading candidates for World Series MVP if he keeps this play up.
Definitely right now for NLCS MVP, but yes, for World Series especially, because you think about that's where they could be. 92 miles an hour on the cutter. It's inside. It's 1-0 against Bryce. Again, I understand superstar players. That's where I put him in there because he's won an NL MVP before. But to make the transition from right to first and do it so seamlessly, that's a big credit to Bryce. Here is 89. A changeup. Left field line. Is this one going to go near the wall? Makes the catch. Bryce Harper just missed it. But at the end of 3, a short bomb makes it 2-0.
That would have been even sweeter for Philadelphia had that went to the stands. And then again, it almost had the distance. It was so close. It was that close to a 4-0 ball game. I mean, so close to that happening.
So the Diamondbacks fans can breathe a sigh of relief. This game is not out of the stretch of any imagination here. It's only a 2-0 lead, but as Alek just mentioned, could be a little bit more. Arizona's still within striking distance. I'm going to go ahead and say it now. I think this 4th inning, even though you get 27 outs, I think this 4th inning for Arizona is a must answer. Get yourself on the scoreboard, scratch a run across, and get back into it. You're not out of it, as the score says, but I think you need to bounce in because Philadelphia has gotten pretty close on some of these at-bats.
Yeah, they have. So close. They could have tasted it. That last time for Bryce Harper, just short of the stands. And so close for one lucky fan to take that home.
So Ketel, Marte, Tommy Pham, and Christian Walker will be due up here when we get to the top of the 4th. Again, as we mentioned, both wildcard teams able to get in. Philadelphia 90 and 72, Arizona 84 and 78. And I'll just make the mention of it now, just in case the NLCS doesn't turn back around by the time I can cover it again. If this will be the end for Arizona, there is no shame in anything that they did in this postseason. They've been brilliant. And when I think about it over the last couple of seasons, Ketel Marte was forced to play in the outfield because they just didn't have any players. And now when you look at it between Alek Thomas and Corbin Carroll, Christian Walker's been good to get Moreno, Lourdes, Gurriel. This team's in a much better spot than it was a couple seasons ago.
I mean, I remember not too long ago when they had just 50-something wins. That was 2 years ago. Now they came all the way to the NLCS up against the Philadelphia Phillies, and they can build on this season's success going down the line. And perhaps you can argue Paul Sewell in that trade with the Seattle Mariners,
Right.
That may be the last piece that the Diamondbacks needed to fully complete the lineup.
Yeah, I think that's a good call on the back end side of it. For me, I'd like to see a couple starters, something added here in the offseason for Arizona as they continue to improve. But again, we talk about Alek Thomas. I know he's struggling a little bit now. He's still a young player learning to figure out that speed. Well, Corbin Carroll's still a really young player, but Corbin Carroll might have that superstar moniker. He really is that good.
He has been. Perhaps NL Rookie of the Year if he were to finish this season on a high note.
So this will be an opportunity, as we said, with Ketel, Marte, the switch hitter. So you got Marte, Pham, and Walker in the top of the fourth. I call this a little bit of a must answer here. We'll see what they can do against Noble. Talk about his postseason ERA last year was 4.91. He's about 1.30 right now as far as the ERA, within about 12.5. Make that about 15 in the third now, as this is a 1-1 swing and miss for Marte.
So Marte and the Diamondbacks offense, as we say, they're going right back, taking the plate, going up against Aaron Nola. So far, Nola has been having his advantage all over the Diamondbacks. Pick up where Zach Wheeler left off.
Yeah, and again, I will just throw this back out there, topping out about 93, 94, but his placement of all 5 of his pitches, it's been around it. It's tried to entice the hitters to get them to reach for it and make them uncomfortable. We'll see what Marte can do with a 2-1. That's a curveball, and that's a good swing for Marte. Slashes it right back up the middle and gets a base hit.
Right up through the middle, right over the edge, and that ball has no chance to be caught in the infield. None at all.
So I know Matt Weiner from the NBA side, he's interviewing Rob Thompson. And for Rob Thompson, this is 2 straight NLCS opportunities. We understand the team that he's got with him, but most managers don't do this. And the Philadelphia Phillies have only trailed for 2 innings in this postseason. That's ridiculous.
I'll tell you, John, it's only been 2 seasons with the Phillies, but can we already regard Rob Thompson as perhaps the best manager in the NL?
You know what? I'm not even going to argue with you on that side. I think he's made a tremendous impact to this team. I understand belief in players and all of that, but they've kind of embodied Rob Thompson to me.
And they believe in his system. They fully believe in his ideals, and they've completely bought into him as their manager.
I think that's very well said. I'm going to completely agree with you on that. I'm jumping on the bandwagon as they're showing Kevin Long. Again, I was already on the bandwagon last year. How could you not be? But you address the weaknesses, you get another year to move on, and it really helps when you get players like Trey Turner in the offseason, 2-0, as a disengagement will be used against Marte, but he makes it back.
So the disengagement with Marte, as with Marte, you think of Ketel Marte. I said his last name so many times to count. So he has only 8 stolen bases, but sometimes he can get it out and use those legs.
He can catch you by surprise. He can do a little bit of everything. He's not an outstanding defender, but he does have decent speed. He's a good batter. He can hit both sides of the plate. He's just a solid overall player. I think you got Noelvi Marte, the younger brother, on that side. You had Starling Marte. You got good bloodlines on that end. 2-1. Pham follows this down the left field line. Make it 2-2.
Starling Marte, and with Tommy Pham going from Starling to Ketel, of course, the connection runs strong.
It does. It helps when you play with really good players. You already know what you're going to get between the both. We'll see what Tommy Pham can do here. 2-2 as the towels wave. You got Marte in at first. Pham does not offer, but it is a full count. So we will see if Marte will be on the run should this want to be entertained. But Christian Walker is waiting in that batter's box.
And the most dangerous hitter, perhaps, for Arizona, you can make an argument for that between them, Marte, Carroll, and Gurriel. Any one of them, you'd not be wrong.
Absolutely. Again, Arizona's got plenty of good players, just like the Phillies do, but it's about pitching this time of year. That's what we're wondering. Got to come through here in a clutch spot, though. Full count pitch. And Pham, he gets the pitch. A little bit in front of that change up there, but he stays alive.
All right, then.
So 43 pitches into Nola's day. He's been unblemished right now. Again, it's not immediate danger, but you do have Ketel Marte at first. And we will do this full count pitch for a second time as some of the fans are starting to stand. They mentioned this a lot in Philadelphia. They do not like to sit. It's 3-2. Curveball. Another play for Bohm. He gets to his feet. They get the lead runner at second. But Alek Bohm, he has certainly showcased himself right now.
That's 2 diving catches on the night for ball. And then this time around, it was a fielder's choice as opposed to the diving catch a la Longoria that we saw against the Dodgers. And this time it was a fielder's choice that touched out Marte. He can catch other teams by surprise with his legs. This time it was so close to second base.
Gotta be completely honest, but when I see Bohm on the third base side now, he does have the range. He just looks smooth. I mean, that was not a easy play. He had to pretty much jump to get that hop, able to throw over and get the lead runner, and he did so pretty seamlessly. So Christian Walker, oh man, he was late on a 93-mile-an-hour fastball, but he only had one thing on his mind there.
And that is to hit it right into the stands. He took a chance on it. You got to time those correctly. Don't want to be too early. Don't want to be too late.
So 93, as we talked about, again, doesn't sound like a lot, but he's mixed in beautifully. Nola. This is a little bit of a fastball, just high, and make it 1-1. Does Christian Walker come through here? That's the grand question. 258 average, but 103 RBI. He's 12th in home runs this year with 33. So middle of the order bat that does a lot of damage against a really good pitcher.
Yeah, he does. And Christian Walker, he's known for these situations when it comes to getting the offense running here along the Desert Snakes.
I like that one. Again, when you think about Christian Walker, and we talk about on the other side for the Phillies, you could talk about Turner, Harper, Real Muto, Schwarber. You're really talking about just Walker on this side. He's got to come through. And this is a strike on a sinker on the outside black. Perfect pitch, and Walker is gone.
When you look at this pitch being thrown along top left, and Christian Walker being left with a quick decision where to swing or not. This was inside the zone. He says, is this going outside? Oh, that is inside. I should have swung this one. I think that's what he's thinking in his mind.
You could definitely tell with the facial expression, rocking the head back, and a little bit of exasperation as they will get linked up here between Real Muto and Nola and maybe call out the signs in the pitch comp. Again, Moreno was absolutely robbed by Bohm the last time that they were up. He hit it hard on the third base side, but the dive and throw over got Moreno out. If he can get another hard hit ball here, that'll keep the inning alive.
Perhaps the response on the Bryce Harper short home run, and that was just mere feet away from being right into the stands when Lourdes Gurriel spotted it.
We'll have to see here, but you're right. I mean, you need to have the answer. Again, I'm talking about this in a big way. I understand what the score line is, and we're just in the fourth, but how many opportunities are you going to have against an elite starting pitcher? Cole Hamels jersey, I like that one with Cliff Lee. Again, that's a nod to when they won the World Series several years ago. Moreno, he's going to slash one down the left field line. That's a good hit as Marsh has to play it on a hop.
And then we had to, because if that kept rolling, you can argue that Pham would be going to third, and Moreno would get at least a double on this play, and Pham would either be going to third, or is that would be at home plate by now to cut this lead in half. But so far, it's runners at first and second, so Philadelphia can breathe a little easier, but still uneasy.
That was a really good first two plate appearances for the 23-year-old catcher. Again, I mentioned the Blue Jays for a reason, but I think that's going to be a void for several years. But not for Arizona. They're happy with that. Lourdes Gurriel, he's got the camo Evo Shield arm sleeve. That's a good look there, too. He's trying to come through in a big spot. Runners first and second, 2 outs. Puts it to Trey Turner, and an easy toss over to Stott. And the Diamondbacks are turned away. Nola gets out of the mini jam. It's still 2-0 as we go to the bottom fourth.
Now they can breathe easy, knowing about the play by Brandon Marsh, and then followed up with Trey Turner making that short toss to Bryson Stott to end the top of the fourth. And so Philadelphia can expand on this 2-0 lead. Boom, Stott, Real Muto.
So we do have one final to talk about in the NHL side, and again, Alek already touched on it, but the Flyers, and I want to make sure it is Carter Hart, they do get the shutout of the Canucks 2-0. So it was Carter Hart stopping 25 out of 25. And Thatcher Demko, man, he was brilliant, but he didn't get any help today on offense. 40 out of 42 as they take a 2-0 loss. Sean Couturier scores on a penalty shot, and Igor Zamala opened the scoring at 1:45 of the first.
Philadelphia, they may be making a point of emphasis on their rebuild now that they're giving Igor Zamula opportunities. And with Tyson Forrester on the lineup full time, I was intrigued about Forrester to close up last season because he did have 8 points in 7 games, if I remember, and now he's in the full-time lineup getting looks at the top 9. He's at the first line now, and it's good of Philadelphia to give him looks at the first line because he was their top prospect before Marte came along.
Yeah, and again, we'll see what happens with Michkov over several years. He's not going to be here right away. When you think about some of those rookies and what you want to watch, again, everybody's going to talk about Bedard, and I understand that he's probably going to win it. But when you think about Carlson, Fantilli, some of the other names that you mentioned like that, I think this rookie class race is going to be a lot of fun. And I think these rookies will be talked about for a long time being impact players in the NHL.
Yeah, we touched on Bedard on opening night. I remember you were there with me and Ian for opening night between the Penguins and Blackhawks. Even though he didn't score in that game, he got his first goal the day after against the Boston Bruins on a wraparound. A moment he'll remember forever, and the start of a new era in Chicago. With Columbus, Pascal Vincent as the head coach is for the best because you remember the old Mike Babcock saga.
Yes.
And Pascal Vincent being brought in after Babcock re-signed. And that's good for the young players for their development. And Fantilli getting some nice looks early in his NHL career. The baffling part is that they decided to list Ken Johnson as a healthy scratch. And he was one of their best players last year.
I'm going to be honest with you, and that's not just because of the U of M side for me beating Michigan. I do not understand that. I don't.
Me neither. Especially if you consider that he was primarily spending his time on the second line, both with Jack Roslovic and Patrick Laine last season. You'd imagine that he'll be on that second line, say, Fantilli and Laine. You have Johnny Hockey on the first line. Perhaps Fantilli could get on that first line later on, but we'll see what Vincent decides. You gotta have Johnson playing.
Yes, you do. And I think Jarmo Kekalainen to be in trouble if that keeps continuing, as this is 1-1 here for Alek Bohm, again batting 4th in the order, and a sinker fastball will be just outside, make it 2-1.
I'm talking so much on the hockey side as of late, so I may extend this for just a bit. Even though we're touching on the subject a little longer, I may list some names. They're not from this draft class, but are rookies heading into this season. They are names that are also worth watching. Luke Hughes, Logan Cooley, and Devon Levi.
Oh my
All 3 of
goodness.
them are electric and coming up.
So here's the deal for me too, is we're going to definitely get back into play-by-play, but I have to touch on this. Night 1, when I covered the Devils and the Red Wings, I got a little upset. I got heated, honestly, during the broadcast with Jeff Petrie. He didn't have a great game. But what I did watch, we know about Jack Hughes and what he could do, but his brother Luke, seen him a lot at Michigan. I've seen him skate incredibly defensively, and he already looks like a top-tier pairing defenseman. And he's only like 20 years old.
He can form something similar to what Jonas Siegenthaler and Dougie Hamilton have on the first pairing, just as we have the second out of this bottom of the 4th. And you mentioned about Siegenthaler and Hamilton, Luke Hughes and John Moreno, they can form something similar to what Siegenthaler and Hamilton already have.
And for Jonas Siegenthaler, for me, he's a guy that I didn't get to watch too much. Depends on how much you cover the Devils. I'll be covering them a lot more this year because of how good they are. I think he's one of the premier lockdown defensemen that nobody really talks about.
I mean, he's much improved on that area ever since coming over from Washington. Didn't get a lot of playing time with the Capitals, but ever since he's been on that pairing with Hamilton, he's been the shutdown defenseman that he has been trying to be. Mix that on John Moreno being the utter shutdown defenseman. That's a 1-2 punch on the defensive side.
It's a very, very good hockey team. You got JT Realmuto now, as it is 2-0 with the cutter. He got busted inside a couple times. Again, we talk about it with the Philly Fanatic hats on. You see the Philly Fanatic, but alongside everyone else, everybody stays standing here at Citizens Bank Park, and they are loud. They love this team. We know Phillies fans can be very passionate, again, to a fault sometimes. Sometimes it can get nasty. But I think there is a lot of people pulling for this team because they just have some superstar players that play the game the right way. 2-1. Realmuto will smash this down the left field line foul. It's 2-2.
And you speak of Philadelphia sports fans, no matter which sport, they'll root for their team no matter what, and they'll stand for their team no matter what, whether it be between the Eagles, 76ers, Phillies, or Flyers.
Got to be honest here with you. I know some of the fans talk about it. You say you wish you had a fan base like ours. Hell, I wish I had 4 teams that were as competitive as theirs. It doesn't happen very often.
No, it doesn't. Especially with such passionate fan bases like theirs.
I mean, we understand it's hard to compete for championships, but you got 3 of the 4 that can pretty much do that every single year. As Realmuto is now in a full count. The bullpen, they are showing on the TBS side. They are not really warming up yet. Again, they're just sharing some laughs in the 2-0 lead. Here's Realmuto on a full count pitch, and he gets punched out on a ball. So that will end the 4th. It's still 2-0 Phillies.
I think Realmuto wanted a discussion with the umpires on where that's supposed to be called a strike or a ball. Guess the strike zone may be in accordance with where the umpire's been looking at home plate. And on the broadcast, you may think that is a ball as it was inches below the zone. But sometimes these strike zones can move in accordance with the umpires.
All I ask for whenever we do that, because you're definitely correct, all we ask for and all the players want is a consistent strike zone.
10 out of 10 times, you want to have a consistent strike zone no matter what game it is. Because as Carlos Torey at home plate, umpire, and with this line of sight, you can think that it's just moving just a little down.
I am going to keep my eye on this, again, as we're going to give you some NHL scoreboard stuff during the break. I don't want to make Alek have to lose his voice talking all about hockey, so he can monitor himself. I don't want to push him too far, but I do see Pierre Dubois got his first goal as a member of the LA Kings, assisted by Andre Kopitar and Kevin Fiala at 11:01. So we will monitor that. I am on record of saying this. I know Cooper said this for the Vancouver side. Maybe I'm a little bit oversighted because I've liked LA the last couple of years. I did not like the dismissals of Alex Iafallo, Gabe Vigliardi, Rasmus Kupari in that pick. I understand what Dubois can do, but I think there's some pressure that he's got to contribute. But right now they're up 1-0 on Winnipeg as LA is trying to get their first win of the year.
You know, with the Kings and with Pierre Dubois coming in from Winnipeg in that trade, you'd think that they'll be a much improved offensive team. In theory, they are. He's so far had a good chemistry with Kevin Fiala, and that showed in the preseason. The big question is with their goalie tech, with their goalie trio of Cam Talbot, Vince Copley, and David Riddick. You'd think that this would be a bottom-feeding goaltending tandem. The offense and defense can't make up for that. It may be looking like a Seattle Kraken situation with a good offense, good defense, but the weak spot is the goaltending. Yeah,
and I don't know, for as good as a team as the Kings are, I think I picked them to miss this year. I didn't feel comfortable saying it, but I think it's a possibility in talking about that goaltending tandem. So the Stars will finally get to start playing some games, but their thing for them is they got to go to T-Mobile and play the Golden Knights. That's going to be a hell of a late game. I will watch some of that once this game is done, get the story all set up. And I was thinking about covering Avalanche and Kraken, but now we got to jump on the NLCS. The Kraken don't have a win yet, and they're going to lose Brandon Tanev for about 6 weeks.
That just makes that hit to the head from Brett Howden a lot worse. when we think back to opening night in that game. Ouch.
So this will bring back up the Arizona Diamondbacks. Again, you'll be in the bottom portion of the order, 789, Alek Thomas, Evan Longoria, and Geraldo Perdomo. As Nola is back out there, he has been absolutely dealing. But again, Arizona's kept themselves in striking distance. It was an almost missed home run for Bryce Harper. Could have been 4-0, but still 2, as it's a 2-0 count, and we'll dig back into the box. A young Philadelphia Flyers fan, alongside with his dad, is at the ballpark. Again, it's always nice to see the youngsters at the ballpark. I can't imagine how much playoff tickets are, but a very special moment. I've never gone to a playoff game in any of the sports that I've been at, and though I've been in a few. It's a 3-0 count for Thomas.
I may write that down on my bucket list. Go to a playoff game, no matter what sport it is. And those are Claude Giroux jerseys, by the way.
Very cool. Again, I think the Phillies fans will, and the Flyers fans will always love Claude Giroux. He was exceptional as a Flyer. It's 3-1. It's a sinker right on the outside black, as Thomas will get set to dig back in. 239 bombs, 39 RBI. Again, 86 strikeouts, but he does have some speed if he can get on base, but it's a full count now.
And we speak of Claude Giroux, even though he is well beloved in Philadelphia, and him continuing to deal in Ottawa, you wonder about how far Ottawa will go, because they have their core assimilated and their free agent signings assimilated. The only question is, would the Shane Pinto hold out?
He still needs a contract. It is a full count. Thomas takes a good rip at a curveball. That one is foul. We'll do it again at the full count side of it. Again, just 2-0. It's just a pair of solo shots from the top of the order. Kyle Schwarber and Trey Turner. That's pretty much your reset to this point.
How are we doing, Andrew?
Good. I just wanted to say about the playoffs. The last playoff game I went to was Hurricanes, Capitals, game 2. It was 6-0 Hurricanes, but then Alex Ovechkin absolutely clocked Andrei Svechnikov, if you remember that one. The place was going crazy. It was awesome.
Full count pitch here for Nola. And Alek Thomas again. We'll get this to the second base line. It'll be an easy toss over for Harper. 1 up, 1 down.
So now we get to the bottom of the order here for Arizona. Arizona, they're another 14 to come back. They've done it twice. Tried to do it again in game 1 of this series, but against this tough Phillies team, it's certainly a daunting challenge.
Yeah, definitely looking like midnight's coming early for Cinderella.
The glass slipper, the pumpkin carriage, everything else. It feels that way. That's kind of what Alek and I mentioned in the open on that side. And we will see, because Nola is looking to deal. And again, everybody's talked about Zach Wheeler and Nola. They're the best 2 pitchers remaining in the playoffs. And right now, through 4 1/3, Nola's really looked like it.
He has, and he's playing his part.
Longoria near the warning track, jumps and leaps and makes the catches. Castellanos, and 2 outs.
Along the right wall. I mean, that had the distance for Evan Longoria. It looked like it was going there. We talked about his defense, but his offense almost looked like it was going to be a home run for the Diamondbacks. We talked about Bryce Harper earlier in this game. Oh, Evan Longoria almost had one too. If it weren't for those catches, it would have been 4-1.
I'm looking at that Phillies defense. When you talk about Bohm, you talk about Harper and some of the plays, and now Castellanos, they've been really solid. Again, you had the Trey Turner play from the beginning. I understand things happen with Corbin, Carroll off the hop, but the Phillies have done themselves a service on defense. And if they can continue this alongside their pitching and their hitting, that's why we talk about in the open. I think this team's probably going to go to the World Series, but Nola's still got work to do. Perdomo, 93-mile-an-hour sinker, it's 0-2.
You got to swing there. Because it was going down Main Street, you got to take a chance on that.
Perdomo hitting just 188 in this postseason. And again, his numbers 223 in the regular season. Doesn't strike out a lot, but he feels like he might have missed one there as the towels continue to wave. It's a potential final out in the top of the fifth. 0-2. And a curveball. Changeup is outside the zone, make it 1-2.
So we look at Philadelphia, and with their pitching staff throughout this postseason, they've been having it amazingly well. I mean, other teams would be jealous to have one of their pitchers.
Every way across the board. Starters, relievers, lineup, anything construction. It seems like the Phillies have no weakness. And again, that's why I would label them as one out of the four that are remaining. That's just my opinion. 2-2. As another fastball goes outside the zone, so Perdomo's working his way back in the count here. It's full, 3-2.
So between them, the Diamondbacks, the Astros, and Rangers, we speak of how the Rangers have been dealing with the Astros, and so far the Rangers, they'll have game 3 tomorrow. They've named the starters for that game: Max Scherzer, Christian Javier.
Perdomo, as his helmet comes off, he follows it. You perked my eye up a little bit, my friend. Max Scherzer is on the mound for the Rangers.
And he and Justin Verlander, previous teammates with the Tigers, reunited once again with the Mets earlier this year. Now they're on opposite sides in this Lone Star rivalry. I mean,
Oh,
see this coming.
it's a knuckle curve that split the plate again, and Perdomo had 2 hittable pitches. He does not swing, and Nola gets the strikeout. I just want to mention this. Again, Alek can tug at the heartstrings a little bit for me because when I think about Verlander and Scherzer, I think of them as Tigers. Hell, we thought about them as New York Mets to begin the year. They were going to be teammates, and now they could be facing off against each other depending on how far the series gets extended.
Yes, some are saying 7 games, but others have said that this could end quicker with how the Rangers have been playing. Now, I know the Rangers, they made it closer than it should have been in Game 2, but they can win games any which way. Don't forget that Bruce Bochy is undefeated, 13-0, when winning Game 1 of a postseason series.
That's a hell of a stat, my friend. I mean, that's daunting. I've had some of the friends I play some games with. Sometimes it's NHL or NBA or whatever. They'll play 2K and this and that. Short point is this: I'm from Detroit. One's from Texas. One's from Kansas City. What does Bruce Bochy have in common with all 3 of us? They've all beat all 3 of our teams: the Rangers, the Royals, and the Tigers in the World Series. Bruce Bochy is a very good manager.
One of the best, and perhaps one of the best among the best in this MLB. Him being picked up by Texas was a slam dunk hiring. And you wonder about the Rangers. Initially, you'd think that they would be making the playoffs this year because of their pitching. They made it because of their offense.
I'll be honest with you. For those that don't know, again, I've been a little bit on the bandwagon for the Rangers for the last couple of years, not because anybody I know, but looking at the hitting side of it, it seems like Texas always scores a lot of runs. But as you said, you bring in Scherzer, you bring in DeGrom, some of the stuff with Montgomery in the deadline. Yeah, the pitching was supposed to work. Well, there's a situation as we talk about in the open. The pitching really has worked for Texas. They've kind of taken a 4-something ERA and they moved it into the low 2s. And you nailed it on the head when we did the first game with the Rays when I was not feeling too good on that side. But Jordan Montgomery, I mean, my goodness, he has fit right at home. And again, I don't think it was a difficult decision for Bruce Bochy to say, you're my game 1 starter because you're just pitching too well right now.
I mean, it's a no-brainer. He's their number 1 guy, so it's a no-brainer for him to be their number 1 guy to start this series. And then with Nathan Eovaldi riding the hot hand, he gets promoted to being the number 2 guy as Max Scherzer was recovering from his injury, and now Scherzer is the number 3. This means an interesting decision for Game 4 on who to start between John Gray or anyone else. Don't forget, John Gray was also activated from the IL.
It's a good problem for Texas to have. It seems like their pitching is starting to become healthy at the right time. Nick Castellanos very close to hitting a home run his last time up. Muriel Kelly's still out there. And again, I won't sugarcoat this. He's been very, very good as far as he was only giving up a couple of runs. He's going to try to get through 5 with 2 or less. I think he would take that. If you're Arizona, you just got to find a way to get the bats going.
You got to wonder if there's a realistic possibility if both pitchers will go at least 6 or 7 innings because they've been pitching a great game thus far.
Yeah, they have. I mean, either way across the board. If you're a manager on either side between Troy Lovullo or Rob Thompson, if you told any one of them, if we were beat reporters, and you said if you would be okay if your starter went 6 innings and 2 runs or less, everybody's going to say yes. And that's essentially what Kelly's trying to do right now. Castellanos 1-2 the count. As you get set to dig back in with an open uppercut stance, he's still waiting on the pitch here. And this is 93, and this one is back foul again, straight back.
And we mentioned about the topic of pitching duels, along with this one, to go with game 1 between the Astros and Rangers, between Verlander and Montgomery, that did not disappoint. So we'll get to see if they can go further along with these pitching duels, or if this is going to be much of the same as we saw in game 2.
Yeah, we'll have to find that out. Castellanos going to go grab some pine. He's a little bit early on that off-speed pitch, and he's going to sit down.
It was a little low for him to swing that one. I think it was below the zone, and he took a chance at it. I know the hunger in his eyes, the fire inside
Yes.
him. He wants the home run, and he tested it. Perhaps not now.
Yeah, again, we said 185 strikeouts in the regular season. Again, I tried to make a mention of that. That's very possible. The one thing for Castellanos, as you mentioned, he's been so hot with the home runs. You hope that he doesn't get too big and try to hit a home run in every at-bat, because he's definitely got the speed to be able to do, turn a single into a double. Marsh will take a big cut, make it 1-1.
I mean, he took a chance there on that low ball, similar to what Castellanos did, and same story.
So the bearded one and Brandon Marsh, he would make Brett Burns jealous, I think. He's going to swing and miss again on another low ball. It's 1-2.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned Brett Burns in this conversation, because that beard is certainly one of the best that we've seen in baseball. So it's a playoff hockey type beard, similar to one of Burns, Joe Thornton.
Yeah, Joe Thornton had an extravagant one too. Gorgeous pitch by Kelly, as it's a curveball down in the zone, and there has been some caught looking between both the Diamondbacks and the Phillies, but Marsh will have to sit down.
Harold Kelly has been riding the hot hand for Arizona, and so far this night continues on for him. This Diamondbacks offense needs to step it up here, starting in the 6th inning, because they cannot allow for any more home runs from the Phillies.
Well, they can't. And again, from what we talked about, it's back-to-back punch-outs of Castellanos and Marsh. Marsh is a guy that strikes out a little bit too with 144, but he did draw 59 walks, a 277 average, and Kelly fed him his lunch there. He's looking to do the same thing with Rojas, who's 2 for 26 with 10 strikeouts. Rojas will take a big cut and follow this one straight back. He's down behind 0-2.
From what I can tell of Rojas, he's more of a defensive guy, considering the batting average, with how he's been called up and utilized by Rob Thompson.
It would be the same for me for someone who's already on the bench in Christian Pache. I think he would kind of be the same thing. So if Rojas continues to struggle, you can throw Pache in center field. This one is spiked. The slider is way out. We'll do it again at 1-2.
And you'd imagine that about putting Pache at center field if he continues struggling like this.
I mean, you can't have everybody firing 1 through 9. We get it. So if you struggle at the 9th spot, when your first 8 hitters carry you the way they do, Alek and I can tell you, Phillies will be fine with that, but you want to make sure. And Kelly, great job, my friend. You struck out the side.
I mean, this one was heading towards the dirt. This was going downwards, and that was a bad time for Rojas to swing. And sometimes you're going to have these moments where you're going to have to learn when to swing and when not to swing. If it's going towards the dirt, don't swing it.
We'll have to see what happens now. It will be the top of the order for the Diamondbacks. I have to use the restroom real quick. I will be right back.
All right, then. Give you guys the rundown throughout this game. Just two scores here for the Philadelphia Phillies. Those come from solo home runs by Trey Turner, 421 feet to left center. Kyle Schwarber, 368 feet to right center. Those are your only scores here. With the Philadelphia Phillies, they lead this game 2-0. They lead the series 1-0. Look over the NHL side. The Philadelphia Flyers have downed the Vancouver Canucks 2-0. The other 5 games they're happening right now, they're still going on. We have 2 games at the 10 o'clock, 10:30 slots. The Minnesota Wild are up 5-1 on the Montreal Canadiens. I was going to say that was the same score of the Edmonton Oilers over the Nashville Predators. Guess what? The Oilers have just scored. It is 6-1 Oilers. Now the Buffalo Sabres, they're up 2-1 on the Tampa Bay Lightning, middle of the third period. And most of these games coming to their conclusion, or 2 of them actually, as the Wild are up 5-1, 3:24 left. Sabres up 2-1, 6:34 left. The New York Islanders are the only goal on the Arizona Coyotes midway through the third period, and the LA Kings are up 2-0 on the Winnipeg Jets with P.L. Dubois getting his first goal as a King. He and Kevin Fiala have been displaying such amazing chemistry dating back to the preseason, and that chemistry has continued to show for LA. For Edmonton, it's been a fireworks show in Nashville. Calling the Music City, they expected to be this much fireworks there, with Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid each having at least 1 goal. Draisaitl has 2, both on the power play.
Thank you for that, my friend. Just needed a quick little spell. We will finish off the rest of this game as we're the top of the 6th again, 2-0 Phillies. I know Alek's been going over a couple hockey scores. I do got to mention to Alek a local thing here. What did you think about the Owen Power extension?
Well, for Buffalo, they're looking to keep their young core around long term. Between this and Rasmus Dahlin, these are very good keeps for Kevin Adams and a job well done. The difference between the Rasmus Dahlin contract and the ones of Drew Doughty and Eric Carlson is that Doughty and Carlson, they're mostly being paid for past performances. Dahlin is being paid for his entire prime. Great move by Adams.
Yeah, I think so too. Again, you know the cap's going to go up. I know people are going to say Power hasn't proved himself yet, but I mean, that is what you do. You know what he's going to do in the future. He's very good. He was a top pick for a reason. When you had that U of M side between Power Beniers and Kent Johnson, uno dos tres, I was pretty happy to see that. We'll see what Aaron Nola can do in the top of the 6th. Corbin Carroll, this is a fastball, and I believe, yeah, it's a ball. It's 2-0.
So we're getting back here. This rookie is looking to get something off here, and this offense starts and ends with Corbin Carroll. When he's hot, the Diamondbacks are hot.
Absolutely. Bouncing ball. This will be an easier one for Turner. Toss over to Carroll. Lost his lid, but he's out.
So something easier for Trey Turner to handle. Not one of those hot potato type of balls that led to those 2 errors against Atlanta in Game 2. And that comeback by the Braves, even though the Phillies eventually won that series. But Turner, no problem for him that time.
So, a question for me. I know what the number usually is when you get to the century mark in 100. That's when I think about moving on from pitching here. But we still, as we get the shot from the TBS side, we still don't see any movement in the Philadelphia Phillies bullpen for good reason. I mean, Nola's been good, but we will monitor that as we go along. Ketel Marte, 11-game postseason hit streak. That's a Diamondbacks franchise record. There's been some really good players for the Diamondbacks on that side. Again, it's been a while for the playoffs. Marte, this is slash to the right field line. This is going to be a double. Castellanos got to play this off the hop, and he'll cruise into second.
Perfect placement as it was going right down for the right side. Marte knew this was slow moving to the right, but just fast enough so that Castellanos doesn't have a chance to get right to the right side. And then he runs over to second base, knowing well that he has a double right on his deck.
So this is an opportunity. I know Tommy Pham up first, but Christian Walker will likely get another at-bat with runners in scoring position Gabriel Moreno's look like the best Diamondback up until Marte's hit right now. So we'll see if one of them can come through. And again, the reason why I bring that up, we talk about the Phillies lineup where anybody can strike. I think that's a little more limited in the Diamondbacks lineup and how many opportunities they're going to get against Nola. He's been good. Tommy Pham needs to come through here, though. 0-1. As the pitch clock's down to 5, Nola gets his sign from him. You talk, he looks from Marte. And a sinker. Ooh, that is a pitcher's pitch there. Make it 0-2.
You can argue between Marte and Moreno as the two best Diamondbacks on the offensive side on the day because with how things are going, Merrill Kelly has been doing everything right. Just 2 runs allowed, and that's it. Those are the only runs of the game. He's been doing everything right. The rest of the offense needs to wake up.
Yes, he has. I mean, you can't say that any better. That's exactly what the situation you find yourself in. And now I believe Hoffman is going to warm up here into the Phillies bullpen. So finally starting to stir a little bit just in case. You might not even see him out there, to be honest with you, the way that this is going. But Nola has Marte in at second. Again, the long look as he lives into Pham, and Pham will put this down the third baseline to Bo. Man, he's been so steady at third. As he gets it, throws it over to Harper, and there is 2 outs.
The third defensive player tonight for Alek, and even though he may be named twins, I just wish I could have the same defensive talent as him on the baseball. Oh man, sometimes I would wish about being out there, perhaps, but he's been sturdy at third base, and that's why the Phillies have him as one of the defensive anchors.
I would love to play baseball too. I know with cerebral palsy, I can't do that, but I always think about baseball and I think about hockey, especially if I could be a hockey center. That would be my favorite sport. I think I would live for that. But calling it and following sports as much as we do, that's a passion. That's definitely one thing you can live vicariously through, my friend. Is Walker swung so hard he might have knocked one of the lenses out of his eye. Maybe he got some dirt in there toward his right eye, I imagine.
Just hope everything is okay with Christian Walker because that was headed right for us.
That was a violent inside swing. He wanted to get a piece of it, but he got all tied up. So Christian Walker 0 for 2. He mentioned he can be the heavy artillery. And Nola, I mean, my God, that is paint right in the right corner of the zone. That is a perfect pitch.
It's just right down. Right on the right line. It forced Christian Walker to guess if it's going out or in.
You want to give your best pitches to the best hitters. That's what Nola's doing now. 0-2 and a fastball high at 92. And again, you don't have to throw over 100 to be effective. That's what Aaron Nola's showing you. He's mixed in beautifully, Alek. The curveball, the changeup, the sinker, the cutter, the fastball. He's throwing 5 different pitches. He's mixed them all well. He's up in front 1-2 against Walker. And a fastball high. Walker offers at it, falls it back, stays alive.
Yeah, do remember that Jordan Montgomery was pulled after 90 pitches. Even though you said he wanted to throw more time to be effective, Jordan Montgomery's proven this. He was pulled in the middle of the 7th inning in Game 1 after his second shutout game of this postseason.
Yeah, you get the outs you can get and you move on. You hope your bullpen can do the rest. That's the situation. Christian Walker stays alive again. That was right in on the black. It's good, tough pitches. Walker trying to hang in there. It's 1-2.
I'd be curious to know which relievers that Bruce Bochy is going to go with because he's gone with the same 3 relievers for the last 2 games. And Josh Morris, Aroldis Chapman, and Jose Leclerc. So this can open the opportunity up in Game 3.
That's something I'm going to watch. I'm going to have a comment with you on that after this at-bat. Here is a big swing and a miss on the knuckle curve. And Nola, a golf clap to you, sir. You are dominating this lineup as it is still 2-0.
Have yourself a night, Aaron Nola, picking up where Zach Wheeler has left off. And that opens up the pitching staff for Game 3. Because remember, they went with Ranger Suarez in Game 1 against Atlanta and Game 4 as well. So those were the same 2 matches, Suarez versus Strider. And Suarez has delivered both times and led to the relievers getting opened up early on. So Suarez, he's not a guy who needs to pitch 6 or 7 innings, but 4 or 5 quality innings
Yeah.
would be good enough before the relievers come on if you're Suarez.
Over from the last year's side, and over the last couple, if you do look at Rangers Suarez postseason numbers and do a deep dive, he's as good as anybody, especially the postseason side. I understand he's not a bona fide starter as far as the big names, but his production and his ability to get outs, he's top tier. You mentioned this with Bruce Bochy as we go into the break for the Texas side as we flip over to the NLCS. Yeah, I'm interested because if you can continue to roll out Spores, Chapman, and Leclerc, you feel pretty good. But who else are you going to rely on if times do get tough? I would imagine for the Houston Astros, even with Max Scherzer on the side of it. Again, we mentioned this a must-win right now for the Diamondbacks, even though it was just game 2. You're looking at the Astros. You go down 3-0 against Texas, and you have Scherzer on the mound. I mean, yeah, we already know what the check's going to be. There's no way that they're going to come back and win 4 straight games. It has happened in between certain situations with the Red Sox and the Yankees, but I'd pretty much write that one off. But yeah, if you can make it where there's still strong enough pitching that Texas is featured and you only have to go to that 7, 8, 9, you're making Bruce Bochy's job very easy.
It'll be much easier for Bruce Bochy and company on that front, John. And then with the relievers, not only with Spores, Chapman, and Leclerc, but also Cody Bradford and Dane Dunning, Andrew Heaney, who were starters for some time.
Yeah.
They're going back into their role at the bullpen. And with Will Smith, who was then previously the closer for them, he's been demoted of closing duties and being the backup closer after Leclerc. But he can be reliable in such situations when he's feeling it. Just remember, in the regular season, the Rangers had 63 save opportunities. They secured 30 of them. This postseason, they secured 4 save opportunities, or 3, I meant.
So yeah, they were absolutely brutal to being pretty darn locked in.
Yeah, they have been.
So Phillies, again, Alek mentioned this in part of the break, and again, I don't have much to add as far as the score reset. It's still 2-0. It was a short bomb and a Turner bomb, and guess what? We're going to go right back to that portion of the order again, and anytime I see Kyle Schwarber at the dish, I get a little excited and perked up because, you know, something's going to get ignited, and the fireworks have potential. 1-0 pitch. Kelly is back out there. And regardless of what I write in this story, I'm going to put Merrill Kelly in a high regard because he's done everything. As Alek said, he's got to get some support as these outs will start to climb against. It's 2-0, and a changeup makes it 2-1.
So I can't wait to see what Kyle Schwarber has to offer too, because you mentioned about guys with big home runs on low batting averages. Schwarber's one of them, alongside Max Muncy and Max Kepler.
Schwarber! He does it again! 3-0 Phillies!
Right on cue with another Schwarber bomb, this time to center. See it just from to the left and now to center. Well, this man is on fire.
Don't tell anybody that a 197 average won't make you a baseball player. Kyle Schwarber is going to tell you to shove it. He's got absolute home run power. And Kelly, it's a changeup that caught too much of the plate. And again, if we're going to be completely honest, my friend, 3 mistakes, 3 home runs. Is that how you see it?
Perhaps 3 mistakes, 3 home runs. So perhaps Merrill Kelly's night could be coming to an end after this inning, no matter what. Because even though he's been pitching himself a solid night,
Yeah.
he's been 3 home runs to Kyle Schwarber, the same guy, and he's getting smiles left and right along the dugout.
It must be nice. I know I can't use the same terminology because I want to keep things PG, but I'll use this one. It must be nice to hit cement mixers all over the field if you're Kyle Schwarber.
For sure, especially if you look at this, the contrast between the batting average and the number of home runs he said, don't tell anyone that a 197 batting average is not going to make you an MLB player. Because 47 home runs to negate that argument.
Yeah, 47 home runs, 104 RBI, and 126 walks. He just does damage. It's a walk, strikeout, or home run. That's what he is. I always say the modern day Adam Dunn. You remember him on the Nationals side. Remember part of the White Sox. That's the same player, essentially. It's a full count for Turner. Don't want to let him get on base. And another walk. That is speed. And it's a good start for the Phillies here in the bottom of the sixth.
I wonder if Lovullo is going to talk to Bill Kelly and perhaps get his bullpen out right now, because Kelly, even though he's been good, the 3 home runs are not going to help the case for Arizona. And perhaps the relievers, they may be coming on early here in this 6th inning.
Good call by you. They are going to move on, I believe, from Merrill Kelly. They're going to try to go left on left against Bryce, unless they want to keep him in. He's at 80 pitches right now. Again, as Alek said, and I will reiterate, not a bad night. But again, it's just home run hitters. They're good players on the other side for the Phillies. The Diamondbacks have not come through at this moment, but we'll see. Kelly is still there right now. They are having the meeting on the mound. It looks like they will have Merrill Kelly face Bryce Harper, but they were certainly thinking about it. And as you said, in between Troy and Lovullo, time is now. They'll get everything squared away. But as looking at my notes, I had Kyle Nelson, Miguel Castro, and Luis Frias, all ERAs of above 4 and whips of 1.5. So can the bullpen do the job is the question. Joe Mantiply is one of the best arms that Arizona's got. He's getting warm up right now. But Merrill Kelly against Bryce, and he follows it back down the left field line.
You think of the question about who can come off right for the bullpen to deliver the job. Joe Mantiply, of course, as you mentioned, he can definitely deliver the job. And yes, he is still getting warmed up in the event he were to come on, say, anytime between now and the start of the 7th. That's how I'll put it.
Yeah, and you want to see for Arizona how much are you going to burn, because you're going to need those guys for next game that's going to be coming up, and you're going to get the off day before you go to Arizona. It's a 2-3-2 format in the postseason. So when they get to Chase Field, they're going to hope to launch a lot of home runs into that pool. That's pretty much what they're going to have to do, because you know Philadelphia is going to do it. All their runs are on solo shots. Harper. Big cut for Harper, way out of the zone, but he was feeling himself there. 1-2.
I mean, without Bryce Harper's been playing this postseason, of course he wants to have another one of those home runs.
Yes, he does. And again, I should say this. We mentioned about all the fans standing. Why shouldn't they be? They're always thinking about a home run every time someone's at the dish. 1-2. As it's pitch number 84 for Kelly as he gets set to deliver. A look into Gabriel Moreno. And a cutter is followed back as Turner had the base. He's going to have to go back to first, though.
He was thinking about going to second and then maybe even further if Bryce Harper hit that. But then again, we'll have to wait and see if anything happens.
Again, there was a situation where Bryce Harper trying to go for a steal, and Alek had to lead off again on that side. So Phillies have been thrown out once in this game. Not on the other side for Arizona, because they really haven't had base runners, with the exception of Ketel Marte. Long look over here for Merrill Kelly. Harper up against it 1-2, and they'll use the disengagement. And Turner just got back.
That's what the legs are for. And the speed of Trey Turner can definitely pay dividends no matter if it's getting right back to base or if it's stealing bases.
I know you have those up gloves on now, but he was just able to get back to first base as Harper gets set to check back in. 1-2, and he does not spit on it. Make it 2-2 against Bryce.
You'd imagine that Bryce Harper may be going to look for a pitch he likes here.
The power threat and the green light, I imagine, for Rob Thompson and a lot of his players is friendly. It's always green when you got superstars like that. The NL MVP trying to do some more damage. As he swings and misses on a fastball up and out of the zone. Kelly got him once on it. This time he got him to punch out.
The ball was above the bat that time around. And Harper was aiming for the top of the zone. It was just feet above the zone. zone that time around, and perhaps got to aim it correctly next time around before Bryce Harper.
Alek Bohm will be due up next. Is again another one of those beards and luscious hair combinations for the Phillies. Again, not quite Brandon Marsh, but on that side, Harper keeps himself pretty clean, and Castellanos carries the swagger. I mean, you got to like everything that the Phillies provide right now, even if you're on the outside looking in like I am. Again, some local connections for the Tigers for me, but still, this is a team that completely looks dangerous, and Alek talked about it in the open. You can look at the records, whether or not you believe in it. We mentioned all the 100-win teams that all lost first, especially in the AL East. But the Phillies in this lineup, this pitching staff, they're showing you why they are more than true contenders. They may not have been World Series favorites going into it, but it's hard to believe now that they shouldn't be considered one.
Yeah, it's very hard to believe, especially with the 4 teams that are left. And as I said earlier, the Phillies may not be a one-win team, but they're playing like one.
Yeah, everything is just working well right now. Again, Alek Bohm in this game of fun, grounded out for 2, 154 in the postseason, but for his regular season, there was about 274. So you split the difference somewhere in the middle there. He can definitely get the job done. Turner's still at first as the cutter is outside the zone, make it 2-0.
Oh, saw something.
Every time I hear that, I'm trying to keep myself on track here now. It's 2-0. Bohm will get set to deliver here. Turner could get off of the pitch if he wants to. You know, they have complete trust there. Bohm with an uppercut. And this should be an easy catch. And Perdomo makes the catch.
And Bohm was frustrated with himself because he knew that he was going to be caught out when he just floated that one up, and that's going to do it for Merrill Kelly tonight.
It's not a bad outing between 5 2/3. I know you're going to look at 3 runs and say, what do you mean? But, I mean, they were all solo shots against a very deadly lineup. We'll have to see if Joe Mantiply can finish the job. I would imagine he's going to be more than just a one-out guy. I normally remember him as a closer. I know it's not this situation now, but still, you want to make sure you keep this bullpen fresh. You get the day off, you go to Chase Field, because if you're down 2-0 and you burn your bullpen, that's not a good situation either. We'll go to break. We'll make the pitching change.
You mentioned about the bullpen. You don't want to burn it and just exhaust their arms. You got to say, go to a variety of options. Say what the Astros were doing between Game 1 and Game 2. When Game 1 they used Brian Abreu and Hector Neris. Game 2 was Abreu, Rafael Montero, and the closer, Ryan Presley, that they've used up in Game 2. So if you're the D-backs, you got to go to a variety of options and start to multiply and to look back at what they did in Game 1 among the relievers. But have to go out to the rest of your bullpen and not use the same guys as the last time between Kyle Nelson, Miguel Castro, and Luis Frias.
Yeah, you got to make sure you stay away from that stuff. I completely agree with you because, again, if you're down 2-0 in a series, you still have to have the confidence coming back home for 3 that you can make something happen. Again, everybody should. You're professional baseball teams. You have complete confidence in yourself. You're playing in the highest version of the league that you can possibly play in inside the sport. So you know the guys are confident. But, again, I don't think there really is much that needs to be said. If the Philadelphia Phillies go on to win this game, I think the conversation and the players and everything else for Torey Lovullo's squad is pretty clear. You got to find a way to break through against Ranger Suarez when you face him off in a couple of days. You got to find a way to get some production because there just hasn't been enough for Arizona in this series to date.
It just hasn't been enough in this series thus far. I mean, 3 runs, all series, all coming in Game 1 on that comeback attempt. You'd think that the Diamondbacks would have something on its tank, but the problem is you were down 5-0 in Game 1. 3 runs on an attempted comeback is not enough.
No, not when you're facing guys like Wheeler and Nola. And again, for as good as Zach Wheeler was, Nola's pretty much doing the same thing on the other end. As we're going to try to see if Joe Mantiply can get the runner at first, which is Trey Turner, but it's 5 2/3, 3 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts. It's really not a bad job on this side. Joe Mantiply through 35 games, 4.62 ERA, 2-2 record. about 28 strikeouts to 9 walks. In the postseason, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, and 2 2/3. So when I have some of the shorthanded names, like Alek just brought up on that side, mention a lot of those ERAs are over 4. Absolutely can't be the situation now as disengagement's used on Turner.
That disengagement looked a little too long to develop because when you try and go for disengagements, you want to make it quick. You want to fool out the guy who steps outside the base. That time, he did not fool out Trey Turner.
I think that's a good call by you because if you're doing that to Trey Turner and he picks up on that pitch selection and when to lift that leg up, you could easily see somebody like Trey steal a bag. He could have already had one, but there was contact before from the previous at-bat from Bryce Harper that negated it. But we'll see what happens with Stott Turner at first. It's 1-0 as Mantiply will deliver. This is 89 miles an hour right down the middle. This will split the gap. And this will get Trey to third. So that's a perfectly executed single right back to where it came from. And now runners at first and third.
Perfectly executed right through the gap away from first and second baseman, away from the shortstop as well. And with the speed of Trey Turner, he already went blasting right from first to third. Seeing that develop, he took a chance at going to third base, and it paid off.
Yeah, they always talk about this, whether it's like Amazon Web Services or whatever they want to use to track. You do it in football, you do it in hockey with slap shots. Point is with this, with Trey Turner, as far as his speed and everything else, he is one of the fastest in the league. You got Corbin, Carroll, you got Trey Turner, you got 2 of the fastest guys in the league in the same game. But Trey Turner can essentially turn any single into 2 extra bases. That's what he did there. So you have a 3-batter minimum. Again, it's a 1 out that Mantiply needs, but a 3-batter minimum if he doesn't get it. But now he's going to have to go up against JT Realmuto as one of the best well-rounded catchers in the league.
Evenly matched against lefties and righties, but his OPS gets better when he faces lefties.
So JT Realmuto will get set to dig in. They've discussed whatever they want to in between the pitching squad for Joe Mantiply. Again, it's a perfect split, as you said, about 250 across the board. So a little more power on the right-handed side, but the average is dead center right in the bullseye, 250. And fake the throw, and they are not going to get the out at second. So second and third, and now the Phillies could essentially turn a single into a 5-run game.
Oh my goodness, this may be what we have come to. I don't know why Ketel Marte was not in position at second base to try and get Bryce and Stott out. I think Stott saw it and immediately jumped to second.
Yeah, that's a fantastic call. I mean, it's Ketel Marte you've got to be able to pay attention to. And I guess the good thing for Moreno is you notice that Marte wasn't there because sometimes you see catchers throw it and it goes into center field.
Yeah, because you look at it going to center field, on wild throws like that, a stolen base could then turn into several runs when you have Trey Turner at third especially.
Yes. Realmuto off the 0-2. This is way high with the fastball. So Realmuto try to come through here. Again, it's just a 3-1 lead for the Phillies. If you're a manager, I always used to remember Jim Leland would say, put yourself away from grand slam distance. That's at least 2 more runs here. That's what Realmuto's trying to do. You don't want to strain too many ducks on the pond. As everybody's standing here, change up way outside the zone, and all of a sudden Mantiply can't find it. Make it 2-2.
Sometimes you want to wonder if balls are thrown way outside the strike zone are intentional. Other times you think if they are badly thrown balls. I can't tell which is which.
I think it's a good call because I'm kind of thinking the same thing here. Can you find it? Way outside for Realmuto. So high to the left and then inside to the right. Nothing close. Nick Castellanos has punched out, but he's waiting on deck. If you leave the bases loaded for Nick, that is a dynamite situation potentially. So Mantiply shakes off the signs a couple times for Moreno. Very important out to get in a huge pitch. 3-2. Realmuto! He's going to split the gap! This is going to score 2 runs! as this is played off the wall, and the Phillies are up 5-0.
We may be seeing them going to the World Series if they keep this up. Joe Mantiply, I don't think he's feeling it right now.
No.
With Lovullo getting his right over to the left center wall, and then Trey Turner, Bryson Stott, they do the rest. Wonderful job by Lovullo, one of the best catchers in the league on the bat, and Lovullo is signaling Stott to come and say, "Come with me, buddy. I'll get you right in. Let's go to either Texas, to either Arlington or Houston if we keep this up."
Yeah, they're going to stay in the same state. It just depends on the city and what hotel they're going to sleep in at this point. I know it's only going to be a 2-0 lead in the series unless we get a monster comeback, but that certainly doesn't seem to be the case. Again, for the Diamondbacks, it wasn't all that bad with Kelly out there, but when Mantiply's got ducks in the pond, he's got to get the job done. Can't do it. You miss 3 pitches like that, well, then there you go. So this will be an opportunity for Marsh. This is slashed on the third base line. This is going to create more damage. A quick throw in. They can't get the out at second. It's a 6-0 lead.
So perhaps the decision to intentionally walk the Castellanos came back to haunt the Diamondbacks that time around. Now he's at third and Marsh at second on the RBI double. And now the Phillies have blown this game out of the waters of the East Coast.
You're trying to go lefty on lefty. That's the situation that you get. And Marsh gets the first pitch. He puts it down the third base line off an off speed. He is understandably fired up. Again, you got to love the beard, the enthusiasm all the way across the board. This Phillies team, they are feeling themselves right now, and they should because they're playing fantastic. And we'll see what happens with Yohan Rojas. It'd be good to see the kid come through here. I understand what the scoreline is, but let's bring his confidence up.
Yeah, it has to be because this confidence at the bat, now that he's at 075, he has to get that up.
Hey, he's hitting bingo numbers right now. You'd like to come through here and feel good about it. This one is going to be an easy toss over, but the damage has been done, my friend. After 6, it's 6-0 Phillies. And again, it's just 9 outs remaining for the Diamondbacks, but they are in a world of hurt because the Phillies are hitting bombs all over the field. They're making great defensive plays for Pham, and then they just slashed it into the gap a couple times. This is a whopping right now.
I mean, left and right. And Joe Mantiply having no answers for this Phillies lineup, and with how good Ketel was looked, Joe Mantiply, not so much. It's been a tale of 2 pitchers between these 2 guys so far for Arizona. So we may get someone else at the mound for Arizona, but no matter who's at the bat for Philadelphia, and no matter who's on the mound for Arizona, it seems Philadelphia is winning that battle 10 times out of 10.
I'm going to say something to you, and I'm sure you're going to laugh or think about it in the back of your mind, but I don't see the Diamondbacks coming back in this game, and I mentioned this with the off day. You want to save your pitchers. I know it's not going to happen as far as the managing decisions of Torey Lovullo, but I think it's position player pitching time. I think it's at that point.
If it was getting to that point, considering that the whole decision coming into Game 3, I would project Rangers Suarez for Game 3, but then the decision may be getting wide open for Arizona for who they're going to start. Nor would you say Brandon Pfaadt, but you got decisions to make between Eden and going into that game.
Yeah, you do. And I think you should use like Pavin Smith or Emmanuel Rivera to have them toss some soft toss for at least a couple innings or maybe even one to save a little bit of that bullpen. I know you're not going to do it during a playoff game, but that's kind of where I'm at with this one right now is it's all Phillies. Again, I'm not surprised that the Phillies are out in front, but what I am surprised at a little bit is that Arizona essentially, with the exception of Gabriel Moreno, who's had a couple tough plays against him. Alek Bohm absolutely robbed him of a couple hits. But out of Ketel Marte, outside of that, with a couple hits there, it is, I haven't done the box score reset, 6 runs on 6 hits and 1 error for the Phillies. Just 3 hits for Arizona, and Ketel Marte's got 2 of them.
Yes, because between Marte and Moreno, they're a combined 3 for 5. The rest of the team and over. That's how bad it is for Arizona because they need something, and I mean anything, from the rest of the team.
Yeah, they do. And I don't think they're going to get it today. So we can mark this one down. Sometimes we have games like this. Hell, I'm still excited to be calling and have you with me, Alek. It's been a lot of fun because we've really watched the Phillies play some complete baseball. I mean, that's really all you can say right now. So Hoffman is on the mound, and I didn't think we would see him, but considering what the score line is, Jeff Hoffman's going to have an opportunity to eat up some innings here for Rob Thompson's squad so they don't have to use Kimbrel, Soto, Alvarado, and some of the other guys. So this is exactly what you would want.
Yeah, exactly, because you look at the bullpen, you don't have to, you're no longer in a position where you have to use your best relievers now. You can use up the other guys like Jeff Hoffman, as you mentioned. Also think about Matt Strom. Have him brought in, and pitch some nice innings.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want if you're Rob Thompson and you get the day off. So if Strom and Hoffman can do the job, as Alek said, I think that's pretty much what Rob Thompson's going to look at. Maybe Hoffman goes a couple innings. And a slider, that was a hanger, but Moreno was, I think, late on that one. He's going to punch out, so Hoffman does the job after the Phillies score a ton of runs. And it's got to be said, my friend, for Mr. Aaron Nola, he was perfect today.
Yeah, perfect game for Aaron Nola. And for all the times I was talking about Jordan Montgomery and him pitching 2 scoreless games between game 1 against Tampa and game 1 against Houston, Aaron Nola for sure can do the job.
Yeah, let's just make the example here. If I couldn't see their faces and they had a mask on, they were in different jerseys, I think I'd have a hard time differentiating between Montgomery and Nola. They've both been that good.
Yeah.
So here's a fly ball, and Marsh will come in on this in left field, and Hoffman 2 outs and 5 pitches, and this is going swimmingly for the Phillies right now. And again, when it does get to the final, they have that song that they play, and I'm sure everybody's going to be standing and singing. But there really isn't anything the Phillies have done wrong throughout this postseason. And you can second that with the Rangers, who pretty much haven't lost a game yet. So it's going to be fun to watch these two teams if that's what the World Series is going to be. And honestly, I hope that is the case because it's going to be fireworks on fireworks.
Normally, the postseason would be about pitching. So how these two teams are playing, it may be about offense now.
Yeah, and I really, honestly, Alek, I'm trying to rack my brain as far as some of the best offenses I've ever seen in baseball. And I know it's a little short-sighted to just say the Phillies and Texas and cap it, but they've got to be, throughout the history of baseball, 2 of the most powerful offenses that we've seen so far because every game, in and out, they're doing damage, and the other teams just can't keep up.
And we speak of offense, you think the Atlanta Braves would be in this position over
Sure.
the Philadelphia Phillies, but that 4-game flameout to that Phillies team brought no by any chances of them going right down for the stretch, and it did.
Yeah, I mean, there really is all you can say on that side. Again, I tried to split the middle. Like, I could say Texas and the Braves would be winning the World Series, but I really couldn't pick between the Phillies because of that pitching staff. But I did figure whoever was going to win between the Braves and Phillies would get there. Phillies have put themselves in a short order out of pretty much making it a best of 5 at this point as it's a 3-up, 3-down for Hoffman, and he's doing the same job that Nola just did. But, I mean, I don't know what else to say. You're looking at the graphic on the screen now before we go to break. Schwarber, 2 RBI. Turner, 2 walks, a home run. Harper with a walk. There is no easy outs. I asked that earlier for Alek. I can't come to an agreement that there is an easy out. You can talk about the 9th hitter, but who doesn't have a 9th hitter who struggles in a lineup? I mean, you can't have everything working as it should all the time, but Phillies are operating like a well-oiled machine.
And when you have hitters that can hit up and down through the lineup between Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Ramoto, Castellanos, and Marsh. Those 6 hitters coming up and hitting at will. But that 9-hitter spot struggling, that doesn't seem to be as much of a concern.
No, there's nothing. And let me just give you an NHL reset. Honestly, I would talk a little bit more about this game that we're covering, but I kind of think we've hit it all now. I'm just waiting for it to end as we're giving you the play-by-play, but if anything does jump out at us, we'll definitely give that to you. We do have a couple more finals. So the New York Islanders, they start 2-0 on the season. They do get a 1-0 victory over the Arizona Coyotes. Carl Vejmelka, he was excellent, but he took the loss. He stopped 31 out of 32. And Ilya Sorokin, wow, am I reading this correctly? A 14-save shutout. He had an easy night.
That could not have been any easier for a shutout as it could have been. Limiting the Coyotes just 14 shots and completely shutting them down. And Matt Barzal, first of the year, coming on the power play. I can't believe I'm reading this right because normally the Islanders, they'd be struggling on the power play, but not tonight.
They were able to get their chance and score, and that was the situation they found themselves in for Vejmelka. Again, he played a great game. I did want to make a mention in between Sorokin and Shesterkin and who's the better goalie in New York, but I can't say anything about that game because Sorokin only had to make 14 more saves than you and I did on that side. So pretty easy night on that end. And the Minnesota Wild exploded for a 5-2 win over the Montreal Canadiens. Looking at your goal scorers, it's Brandon Dumaine, Connor Dewar, 2 shorthanded goals. My goodness, for the Wild to start this game. And Sam Montembeault was busted up for 30 out of 35, and in net, Marc-Andre Fleury, the Flower stops 27 out of 29, but I can't imagine that Martin Saint-Louis is going to be happy with a couple shorthanded goals that looks to be just 15 seconds apart from 9:20 to 9:45. That does not look good.
On top of that, 3 power play goals as well. Every goal by Minnesota coming on special teams. So there is some point of emphasis to fix if you're Martin St. Louis. Not only to get 2 shorthanded goals, but 3 power play goals as well, and to get blasted if you're Sam Montembeault. So definitely work to be done for St. Louis and company in Montreal. But it does not help that Kirby Dach is due to have suffered a torn ACL and torn MCL.
Oh, man. Are you serious? That's real bad news for Montreal because some of the young kids that they have there between Caulfield and Suzuki, Doc was starting to come into form too. That's horrible news.
And that is horrible news, especially for someone who's just found his stride playing on the first line with Caulfield and Suzuki, and for him to have his season end like that prematurely. We don't know how long he's going to miss, but he's going to miss at least the rest of this season.
Oh, man. And that was the one that came over from the Chicago Blackhawks, correct?
Yeah, in the 3-team trade that also involved Alex Romanov to Divers.
I want to make sure I got that correctly because I know there is a couple of docs as far as the NHL side of it. I want to go ahead and I'll go back into our featured game as we're looking again. All of a sudden, with all the runs that have scored, it felt like Kyle Schwarber was leading off the 6th. Well, guess what? He's leading off the bottom of the 7th. He's 2 for 3 with a couple of jacks. We'll see if he can make it a third, and it's a strong possibility. I'm not trying to call it here, but it's 1-0 and a sinker inside. Mantiply, quite honestly, he's back out there. And the only reason I think why for Torey Lovullo's squad is you just don't want to burn anybody else at this point.
Perhaps if you're Torey Lovullo, yeah, you wanted that same route, not burning out anyone else in the bullpen and have him stick out there even after he had that bad 6th inning. Say, try and get his confidence up and keep him out there for the 7th inning. It's a high risk, high reward move with how he's been doing in the 6th.
3-0, and it's an obligatory take for Schwarber. That was definitely one he could detonate on again. We've already seen him hit a couple of them out. But 3-1, again, Schwarber is living up to his name as far as what he can do. He's got an eye. He will strike out, but he will bring the thunder. He's already done it twice. 3-1. He'll take his walk. Schwarber has been brilliant, but now it will bring up Turner yet again. And from when we talk about it, as far as some of these teams and what they can do, You just continue to roll over this lineup, and it's no fun if you're an opponent on the other side. I can't say it any clearer than that.
It's no fun whenever you allow Schwarber a walk, with what I'm seeing. And now Ryan Nelson was warming up at the bullpen. He's due up next as Lovullo goes over to the mound to pay a visit. So that's going to do it for Matt White.
So curious, I guess you just want him to go lefty on lefty. But again, for Nelson, he did pitch yesterday on that side. His numbers will be 418, 130 on the whip side. Everything is in the high fours. So could we see a double-digit game? Possibly. It's going to be 6 more outs for the Phillies to work with because you won't have to probably bat the ninth because they got the lead. And you got pretty much 6 outs for Arizona. They have to maybe make up more than 6 runs. So not a good look for Arizona in this game. Again, some of the stuff is to be expected. However, it's really difficult for me in this commercial break to think of what can change for Arizona going forward. I just don't know if they have the answers.
And it feels like they're getting blasted right out, left and right, with runs left and right, no matter if it's for the ground or for the air. I just don't know if there's really any answer for them.
No. And again, in between, let's just be honest. I know what your answer is going to be, but I'm going to ask you anyway. You could essentially have both of these teams be 2-0. If you have to pick one of the teams to come back, who are you picking, the Diamondbacks or the Astros?
More likely, it would be the Astros coming back from 2-0. I feel it may be strange to say this, but the Astros actually have a better road record than a home record, especially when it comes to postseason.
Yeah, that does sound strange for as good as the Astros are. And again, when I'm thinking about tomorrow, because you brought it up in between Christian Javier, are you going to get the version that we talked about in one of our opens of last year, or are you going to get this year's version? Because the Astros are going to need the last year's version of Javier to get back into it. Because if they go down 3-0 to Texas, I'm writing that one off. I'm just going to be honest with you. So a 3-0 lead. I'm sorry for that. 3-0 lead for the Kings now over the Jets. In the third, it looks like they're going to get their first win of the year.
And it looks like, with what we're seeing, if the Phillies keep this up, it may be a sweep. And you mentioned about the Rangers going up 3-0. The Astros nearly came back on the race in 2020 in that year's ALCS. They lost Game 7, but that year's Astros is very different from this year's Astros. Because the top quality pitcher for them seems to be Verlander, and he came in via trade. Javier, he had the second combined no-hitter in World Series history behind Don Larson's perfect game in 1956. They need that version of Javier back and fast.
Yeah, they do. There's not a lot of time left in Texas. I think they can feel it, just like the Phillies. I can't imagine. I know opposite leagues, but AL, NL, 2 teams that look more confident. Not because there's 4 left. It's just they're just playing perfect baseball. And holy cow, that was a really low pitch from Nelson. But Turner was not the beneficiary of that. Strike cold.
I mean, sometimes it's a 50-50 chance about umpires on how they're going to call it.
And 97 splits the plate there. That could have been absolute dynamite to hit. But Turner does not swing at that. He got tied up unbelievably, but it's 1-2. Runner on first for the Phillies as they look to add on. Why not? The game is never over until it is. 1-2 pitch. Turner. Good leaping catch by Perdomo.
Right out of nowhere, he saw this one coming in his direction, jumped up, put that glove, and then the catch there, that would have been at least a double or a base hit. If that went further right down or right past Perdomo.
Well, we can tell you this. I know the manager on that side is going to feel pretty good about it. It's a great play regardless of the score line. That's how you keep your defensive positions locked in. But now it's Bryce Harper. Again, as we mentioned, this lineup just does not concede outs. And you called it perfectly there, my friend, as Strom is getting warm up in the bullpen. He can bring it up to 100. He doesn't have the beard that Marsh does, but he's certainly got the hair.
It's definitely hair. As is mentioned, that rock and flow, and he got the game-winning save, the series-winning save, Game 4 against Atlanta. He certainly wants to keep the Diamondbacks scoreless here as we go on. And know about that routine he does.
So 2-0. As they're getting the MVP chance for Bryson. Why not? He is 0-2. That might mean he's due. 97-mile-an-hour fastball did catch the black a little low. It's 2-1. And again, I think at this point of the game, I don't think you want to get too fancy. You're down 6 runs. Pitch to contact here for Arizona. You start adding on some walks, things can get even worse. 2-1. Harper will follow fastball straight back, make it 2-2.
And while the Phillies are having a comfortable lead, you mentioned about the walks and all of that. They may not need another home run, but it would be sweet if they got another one.
I think the fans want to see them get double digits to see that scoreboard turn. That's kind of where I'm leaning. It's 2-2. Fastball inside, and Nelson has worked himself into a full count.
So just going to get into the NHL side a bit. The Kings up 4-0. The Oilers up 6-1 on the Predators, and the Buffalo Sabres, after seeing a 7-second goal from the Tampa Bay Lightning to tie it, they went in overtime to hold off Tampa.
Man, Tampa gets the chance to tie it, and they can't hold on. That kind of speaks to the point of what we just talked about on the defensive side. I don't care how many goals Stamkos, Kucherov, Point, and Hagel score. You got to lock down.
You got it.
3-2. Harper. He puts it in through the shift. And the Phillies try to get a runner at third is Schwarber. He makes it there, and it's first and third with just 1 out. And the Dogs are not being called off just yet.
How the game's going and seeing the instant replay from Schwarber, yeah, he touched that base just before he can get tagged out by Longoria. It was, just inches before the tag by Longoria. Good awareness by Schwarber, even though it's not Trey Turner speed, it's still effective speed from Schwarber.
Yes, it is. He's very smart. I would be shocked if I didn't see some Schwarber jerseys in the Phillies crowd. I know there's plenty to choose from, but he would definitely get a gold checkmark box from me for being one of my favorites. Again, as we said, the splits are crazy, but he's very effective as it's a cutter at 84. Could have been one that Bohm could have absolutely hit out. He's 0 for 3. He wants to get a hit here in the postseason. He's just 148 with 2 RBI.
Definitely, for sure.
Am I seeing a little bit of a glove hand of Sesame Street? Not, I think I do. This one might split the gap. This one does. This is going to create even more chaos. Schwarber's in, trying to get another run in, and the Phillies up by 8. My goodness, it does not end. Continue the carousel.
Sounds like that one episode of Looney Tunes.
This just continues. You want to talk about that? You want to talk about the Tasmanian Devil spins? Any of the Looney Tunes stuff? Any of the mix? You got it all right now, but it's all one-sided here. And again, we're talking about Bowman wanting to hit. He went with the ball about 6 feet out the zone, and he was able to split the gap perfectly there, Alek.
Perfectly. You could not have split it any more perfect than that. Line ball going deep, and you could not have it any better than this when you went down. Oh,
Bryson Stott went for the downs, and if he's going for a bunt here from your calling there, I might lose my mind. But Rob Thompson is pulling out all the stops. 8 runs on 8 hits.
You can line up a deck of cards, and you would choose anyone that you have in your arsenal. Ace, King, Queen, Jack 10, Royal Flush.
Are you kidding me? This falls in the infield.
Nobody picked this up. Are you kidding me? Nobody picked this up. There was not even a single sun glare that's coming from there. Not even a single sun glare. And this falls into the infield. That's why I said, what?
This
fell into the infield. Moreno didn't take a chance at it. And the 3 Diamondbacks that were there
He's got to calm his team down. Again, as you said, it's a night game. If I'm having Longoria and I am a 38-year-old and the elder statesman and captain, I'm the one catching that ball. Somebody did not have communication. That was clear. But now this has turned into an unmitigated disaster.
I mean, this is becoming outright bad for the Diamondbacks. Oh my goodness. It feels like it's raining runs left and right down in Philadelphia. The forecast may be calling for more of that if we see another one of them from this next guy.
Yeah, and I'm not saying this lightly, and I'm not even using it to poke fun, but that's a little league play right there. That's got to be caught. There is no reason for it. I understand Arizona is not going to be able to come back into this game. Now you got JT Realmuto. That's a good pitch for Nelson as he gets the call in the black. 0-1, but you already got the runs against you. You got to play with some pride.
You gotta, because you're down this big, 8-0, and you need to have your sense of pride come back if you want to make this a more respectable final score.
Yes. 0-2. JT Realmuto follows it back again. You can look at this entire order. I'm just looking at the ESPN box score. You got 2 for Schwarber, 1 for Turner, 1 for Harper, 1 for Bohm, 2 for Stott, 1 for Realmuto, and a hit for Marsh as well. That is 7 of the 9, and spinning out of the way is Realmuto. Thought he might have got hit in the Evo shield of the elbow. They are going to double check. Again, that's going to draw some boos. But 7 out of the 9 hitters have recorded at least a hit. You have 8 runs on 9 hits. You have just 3 hits for Arizona. I think what we're getting, Alek, is the double check. This is zoomed in to me, and that just caught the glove, I believe.
I think, well, from what we're seeing, it may have caught the glove. That's what Realmuto is arguing about. That it may have bounced off him. Since we're getting a little replay here, was it? It caught the glove, from what I'm seeing. Yeah, the glove and Moreno. Because I thought Realmuto, this looked very close. He was just inches away from hitting his funny bone.
Yes. And again, in a situation, I don't blame the Phillies for challenging him. You play to the end of it like Rob Thompson. Again, I'm getting the little low look at it, and it looks a little bit ahead of me. But, yeah, I'm seeing this hit Moreno's glove, and Realmuto, I mean, just able to spin out of the way of that.
He was just able to spin out of the way of that ball. You never want to have that ball hitting you, no matter what pitch it is, because that can be painful.
Yeah, especially when you think about it for Realmuto. He's already have to take enough damage being behind the plate. So call's going to stand, and the challenge will be lost there for the Phillies. Really not going to matter so much because they're already up by 8. Usually when you get the calls with runners on base, you know, there is something important here, but not in an 8-run lead. But still, it's 1-2, and we'll get set to do it again.
Yeah, it's not going to matter much unless the Diamondbacks pull off some sort of miracle, but that's not likely going to happen much. It's not.
83-mile-an-hour cutter, way low. Again, if you're Nelson, I think you just got to find the strike zone, regardless if you give up any more. Last 2 innings, how about this? 7 runs, 6 hits, a home run, and 3 doubles.
You think about the Phillies getting red hot at the right time.
And this is going to get through the infield on a diving play from Perdomo. Bohm will score. It's 9-0 Phillies.
Jeez, they just keep going on all cylinders. It feels like that Looney Tunes conga line in the baseball field is going to continue on.
How low can you go here? That's what the Diamondbacks are wondering. Again, I hate to say it this way, but the Diamondbacks are getting beat so bad they're lucky this one loss doesn't count for 2.
Oh, I mean, 10 hits, 9 of them resulting in runs, and to one error. That's the only one this game, but that one error is not going to count for much because the Diamondbacks have 3 hits, no runs. And oh boy.
And Castellanos is now at the dish. You feel like the way he's been playing, I know it's funny to say because a couple games and a couple bombs, you feel like he's due. And this could get even worse. if you can even believe that. 9 runs on 10 hits. Castellanos! He's going to watch one. And this will be caught just before the warning track, but this will drive in another run and the century mark a 10 spot.
He would have loved to hit that home run to get 6 and 4, but at the end of it, it's a sac fly. Either way, it is double digits. Can you believe this?
Honestly, Alek, again, we know that we threw out the rhetorical question. I can't. I expected maybe the Phillies to win by 4 or 5. Granted, right? I think that they're the better team, but a 10 spot? No, you don't see this much in playoff baseball.
Especially when you consider that it's just 5 years ago when the Boston Red Sox beat the New York Yankees by a score of 16-1.
Yeah, this is going to be something that Phillies fans, you and I, and everyone else watching this game will be in remember for a long time. Sometimes we get games like these, but again, Alek, I'll just say it as plain as day. I'm glad I still have you on the broadcast. Don't feel like you have to stay because this game's a laugher, but Dave Dombrowski, again, the former Tiger, former Marlin, he's been doing this for a long time. He's really good at constructing teams, and he's also very servant to go over to other players that open up their pocketbook and want to get some great players. If you open up the pocketbook, he'll build it. And right now it's a 10-0 lead with a runner at first, Brandon Marsh. He could still do some damage. And mercifully for the Arizona Diamondbacks, they only have to deal with the Phillies for 3 more outs once they get out of the 7th.
Yes, perhaps something of note because the Diamondbacks are getting shelled left and right. You wonder if they agreed to some sort of mercy rule before this game in the event if it goes out bad.
Yeah, you have mercy rules in MLB The Show and the video games. You don't have them in real life. But, yeah, I mean, we're in a situation here where we've gotten to a territory that I just don't see very often. And if I'm Nelson here, again, I know I've said it and I've beaten the drum, but you got to throw strikes here. It's a 10-0 lead. There really is no reason to try to paint the corners. It's a full count. For Marsh, sometimes you get games like this, but if you're a fan, I mean, you love it right now. Full count, and Marsh will stay alive.
So while Slade Sassoni warms up for Arizona, and you want to think that Ryan Nelson will end off his night with something to look for on Brandon Marsh.
You do, but I'll tell you this, Alek. If I spotted you a 10-run lead with the Diamondbacks, I think you could get 3 outs and win the game.
You would, yes.
I believe in you. I think you would cover it. So Marsh, he takes his walk, and that is something you don't want to do if you're the manager. I understand what the scoreline is, but you don't want to walk here. And as it stands, they're looking at the same game parlays, and some of the analysts were saying no. Castellanos would need his home run, and Carroll still need a stolen base. Nola got the 5 strikeouts, and now we'll get another mound meeting.
So that'll pull Ryan Nelson and getting Sassoni in. In the meantime, 2 more games are completed in the NHL. The Oilers 6-1 over the Predators. The Kings 5-1 over the Jets. The Oilers needed this bounce back game and badly because of how they played against the Canucks. And then them going up against the Predators team, a new look Predators team, and they come up like this, just explosive on the power play as per usual.
Yeah, we know what they can do on that end. For me, as fair or unfair as it is to say, I know it's for Edmonton. I say wake me up when the playoffs start, and then once the playoffs start, can they find enough defensive help and some even strength goal scoring to be able to get the job done? Because again, I know Alek and I might have been on differing opinions of this. I don't value Edmonton as much as some other teams do, even with McDavid and Draisaitl, because I think they are a one-trick pony to me.
Because if you remember, with Edmonton, they're explosive on the power play. Yes, that's no secret. However, what happens when there's a team that will force you to play at even strength?
Right.
That's what Vegas did to Edmonton the second round. And Vegas had the upper hand on even strength in that second round series. Edmonton was utterly manhandled by Vegas that series.
Yeah, it's tough. Alec, because over the last couple of years, when you think about it, Vegas, you ran into them, a buzzsaw, they won the cup. You run into Colorado, they win the cup. It's not like Edmonton didn't play against some good teams, but those teams were just better than Edmonton was. And for the strength for Edmonton, which was their offense, when you think about Colorado from a couple seasons ago, and you think about Vegas, well, they did just as much as Edmonton did offensively too, and that's what makes it hard.
Yeah, they did. But mostly the damage being done on even strength, as is mentioned, and with Vegas being able to rule out all four lines and all three defensive pairings. Edmonton, they have McDavid, the McDavid line and the Draisaitl line. With the Yamamoto out and moving in Connor Brown, looking to emphasize on defense, and with Matthias Ekholm into the mix, perhaps they could get something of a boost, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And the one thing before we flip back over here, I know mercifully we could just talk hockey because this game's over, but it's got to feel good for Edmonton after a couple rough starts. Jack Campbell bounces back in a big way. Campbell soup stops 41 out of 42. He got the starting job to begin the year in the preseason over Stuart Skinner, and they're going to need some more of that. We're not going to say that Campbell's got to be that good, but that definitely has to feel good for him.
It has to, with the year that he had in year one for Edmonton. He needs to bounce back in a big way, and this game he did. If they're looking for the Toronto Jack Campbell that Edmonton was hoping for.
Because he's still in the middle of a 5x25 contract, so that's not short change to give to goaltenders, so they expect him to get the job done. And now Rojas, in a game like this, I mentioned, I'd like to see the kid get a hit here in the postseason. I feel pretty good because everybody else pretty much has.
Yeah, everyone else getting a hit except Rojas. So for the kid to get these hits, it would be a big confidence booster for Johan Rojas.
We'll see what he can do. He's up against it 1-2, and he does not offer at the curveball. Make it 2-2. And Sassoni, this will be admittedly the first time I get a chance to see him. But again, all you really have to do here is just pitch. There is no expectations here, so I think that's about as free and easy as you like. Normally, the heartbeat would happen in a playoff game when the scoreline reads 10-0. I mean, you're just pretty much playing catch as it's 2-2, and he spikes a fastball. So, again, if I'm the manager on this side and I'm managing the Diamondbacks and I see my relievers not throwing strikes in a scoreline like this, I'll just flat out tell you, I get angry. There really is no reason to pitch around anybody. Jake Cave is going to get some playing time as Rob Thompson can empty his bench, make a full count pitch, 3-2. We'll see what Rojas can do. This one down the first base line, this is snapped and thrown across. That ends the seventh, but more artillery is thrown. It's a 10 spot. Let's go to the eighth. 10-0 Phillies.
Philadelphia's been putting up. They can afford to get their bench guys out here. You mentioned Jay Cave and all the others there right on the dugout. Christian Pache, Garrett Stubbs, everyone from the league can afford to get them out in a position like this because the game is all but sealed.
Use them all. Get the extra rest. Enjoy the inning. There's not many times you get a game like this. I know you listen in on the Stanley Cup Finals side, and I appreciate that when Cooper Hopkins and I were rolling. And you actually did cover the game when I had to go to the wedding on that side from our fiance's sister. Again, complete awesomeness on your part to be able to join that in. I could join into the late side, but my meaning for all that is this. The last time I seen a game like that is when the Golden Knights enjoyed their route from the third period to lift the cup when you knew the game was over. That's what this game feels like.
Yeah, as soon as Riley Smith scored that goal and Cooper said that it's over.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of how many goals Vegas will score rather than if they get the win. Because from that point forward of how Vegas was playing and how they were playing at home, you know they were going to win because they've been dominating each and every one of those Stanley Cup final games at T-Mobile Arena. There were tight games over at FLA Live Arena, both decided by one goal. Even split there, but Vegas was one-sided in that front at T-Mobile Arena. This feels like that's the exact same Game 5 for Vegas when you look at the Philadelphia Phillies. You see this possibly as wash, rinse, and repeat.
Yeah, I'm glad that you agree with me on that. That's why I brought that up because I haven't had many broadcasts like this. I'm glad that you're here with me because it definitely takes the sting off of some of the stuff. I mean, look, you and I have broadcast many solo games, and I'm sure we've had some of these like this, but sometimes they feel like they don't end, but at least we can play off on both sides. But yeah, I mean, I don't often see things like this. It's no fun when you're on the other side. Let me tell you that. I can't imagine if you're an Arizona Diamondbacks fan, yeah, you feel good to go back home. Yeah, if you have tickets at Chase Field, you'll be happy and enjoy it. But to sit and watch a beating essentially on live TV, that just doesn't make you feel very good.
That the sense of confidence is going to waver down heading into Chase Field for games 3 and 4. With how the Phillies have been steamrolling throughout this game. I mean, another one of these blowouts. Just remember, it was just months ago when the Diamondbacks beat the Braves 16-13.
Yes. Yeah, where has that offense gone? And I think a lot of that has to do with Wheeler and Nola. And as we said, with Ranger Suarez on that side, I don't think it gets much easier. He's going to be overlooked by some, and I don't think he should. And Matt Strom, this could essentially be 2 more innings of work here, depending on what Rob Thompson wants to do. They could essentially put a position player out there with 10 runs. They're not going to do so, but still, that's kind of the way that it's gone. 8-9-1. So it'll be Longoria, Perdomo, and then Corbin Carroll. But you can look at any situation that you want to for the Diamondbacks. And the only player that I think's played well besides Ketel Marte is Merrill Kelly.
And between Marte and Kelly, you mentioned Gabriel Moreno earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the 3 guys that you think of for the Diamondbacks that stood out from this game because it's been all Phillies throughout. A complete team effort, offense, defense, pitching. Everyone has done their job here.
Yeah, it's surgical. Again, you don't get many of these here. Again, I don't want to get too far away from the play-by-play, but we will keep you updated. I'm just going to ask Alek, as plain as day since he's on here. I've seen Kyle Yamamoto get his first goal of the season. Vince Dunn and Ty Cartier. Ty Cartier going to get some time from Brandon Tanev, but it is Gurriel versus Philip Grubauer. So Grubauer is going to get to play against his former team, and like he did in the postseason, he's starting off pretty well, stopping 7 out of 7.
And he knows the Avalanche so well, so perhaps this is the matchup to watch for if you are the Seattle Kraken. And perhaps you can argue it's your best opportunity to get your first win of the year because it's a team that Grubauer is so familiar with, and he was the reason why they beat the Avalanche in that first round series.
Yes, he was. And Seattle's got some decent goaltending, and they're still 0-2-1. Again, Joey Decord had a pretty good game the other day, so Seattle's got to find a way. Again, it's not panic time yet, but the one thing that I've noticed is that secondary goal scoring for Seattle, much like Vegas was up and down those first 4 lines, just hasn't been there yet.
And they'd be looking for that with Dave Haxtell's team among that secondary scoring. And meanwhile, there's a 1-1 game in San Jose between Brent Burns, his Hurricanes, and his former team. The goals by Fabian Zetterlund, assisted by Tomas Hertl. Seth Jarvis on the power play tied it up. The assist from Michael Bunting and Teuvo Teravainen.
So I wanted to double check something because I heard this during the I couldn't believe it. I thought the Sharks had the lead, and again they ended up losing 2-1. But I saw Mackenzie Blackwood had a 51 save performance the other day. My goodness.
And the Avalanche did score until their 50th shot on goal, and that was very late in the third period of Cale Makar tying it. It went to the shootout, and perhaps if Mackenzie Blackwood can have games like these, he can refine that stride that he had in his rookie year in New Jersey.
And you don't see this stat line very often. Nathan MacKinnon was a +1. But yes, I'm reading this correctly to you. Nathan MacKinnon had almost as many shots on goal as the Sharks did. They had 20. Nathan MacKinnon had 14.
Jeez. I mean, that's more than 2/3 of the shots on goal as the Sharks. And you look at that, this was a game that Blackwood was on track to steal. I mean, it was that close to being a Sharks win.
So from what we speak about Blackwood, this is a good segue to here. He is getting the start again tonight, as it's Fabian Zetterlund getting the goal from Hurdle and Seth Jarvis on the power play from Bunting and Tebow Teravainen, as Carolina looks to open up their offense a little more. I think Alek can speak to that way better than I can, being a member of the Carolina side of it. But if they can open up that offense, I would definitely put Carolina in the mix of winning a Stanley Cup. I know it's early, but they definitely have the personnel to do so.
They do have that personnel in doing so. You look at that, Carolina, they still have that, and just imagine, when Andrei Svechnikov comes back from his torn ACL, this is going to be a very dangerous lineup to look out for on Carolina's side.
Yes, it is. So Strom did issue a walk, and now it's 3-2. So you don't want to go back-to-back walks for Rob Thompson. That would definitely draw his ire. Nobody warming here in the Phillies bullpen. Again, you don't think so. You got to make sure that Strom works out of this, but absolutely pitch to contact. Perdomo not likely to take it deep. 3-2. This one in on the hands, and we'll do it again.
So repeated fastballs after fastballs in this sequence. It seems like this is going on for ages. What is this now? 7 or 8 at-bats?
Yes, it is. It's been lengthy pitches from the previous walk. Perdomo trying to fight. And another one for Perdomo is followed back. So what I will do is I'll give him a thumbs up, Alek, on this side. Regardless of the score line, he's playing like this is a tie game. And that's what you love to see from players.
Every time you want to have these guys play like it's the most crucial inning of their baseball careers. And that's how Matt Strom and Perdomo are treating this.
Full count. We will do it yet again. And a strike 3 called. Good pitch there for Strom. Punches up Perdomo finally.
Finally there, after 9 tries, he did the job.
So this will go back to the top of the order, and this will be the last best chance here for the Diamondbacks. We know what the score line says, but I mean they're between Carroll and Marte. I mean, that's the best part of the order here. If you can get anything going. And honestly, we'll just tell you, I don't know if there's anything positive you can bring back into the Thursday game. But when they play again, Arizona is going to have to flush this thing and find a way. I mean, there really is. It's going to be a must-win. I said must-win tonight. I said must-answer in the 4th inning. Didn't find any of that for Arizona. They were just grasping at straws all day. So Jordan Lawler is actually going to get a pinch hit there. So they'll let Corbin Carroll take the rest of the night off. I guess I can't argue with that as Lawler takes a grand cut. It's 1-1.
I think Arizona may be admitting defeat early on here in this 8th inning as the resident dugout looks on. And honestly, I'm surprised Corbin Carroll was awfully quiet tonight.
Yeah. I agree, my friend, on that side. I mean, you got to get things going. I mean, I understand we can look at it between the Phillies and the Diamondbacks, and nobody's going to argue what the better lineup is. But Carroll is one of those guys that can absolutely jumpstart things. And nobody was allowed to jumpstart today for the D-backs.
Nobody. It feels like everything was just almost full of crickets for the Diamondbacks.
Yes, it was. Again, it's just 3 hits. I understand how good Nola is. We get how good Wheeler is. But we mentioned in the open that Nola was toward a .491 for his postseason average last year. And he was in the mid-4s for his postseason average in general. We didn't see any of that today. It's a 3-1 pitch here for Lawler. And this one is a little conventional here for Turner. And he will turn this, but he can't get enough speed because Lawler's got plenty of it. So it's the lead runner. It's 2 outs.
So even though it was a double play opportunity, they might not, even though this game is out of reach, the double play opportunity just not there because of the speed of Lawler being able to reach first base on that fielder's choice.
You can mix Lawler in there with Jerry the King Lawler, and this would still be the same score.
Yeah, he would. You're not wrong there.
10-0 as we're in the middle of a 8th inning with 2 outs at the dish. Ketel Marte, he's been one of the good ones a single and a double, 2 for 3, 345 average with 2 bombs and 4 RBI in the postseason. As he's trying to get something on the board for the Diamondbacks. Nobody wants to get shut out. This one sizzled down the left field line. Look out over there.
And look out, as we speak of look out, but the other young guy from Philadelphia, Ryan Kerkering, is warming up. So you don't need the best relievers out there because you're in a situation where it calls for a situation where you can set on your other relievers out there, and they can hold up well here. And Kerkering can do that.
Yeah, you can use your depth in a game like this. Again, for Rob Thompson, as Alek and I mentioned, if it was us managing the Phillies, this is just a sit back, chew some gum and some sunflower seeds type of game. As this is popped up for Marte. Who wants it? That's the question. And this will be picked up by the Phillies. Stott's got it. And it'll be just 3 more bats for the Phillies and 3 more bats for the Diamondbacks. But we know what's going to happen already. 10-0 Phillies.
I mean, sign, seal, deliver.
Yeah, what do they say? Sometimes they say, Mama said there'll be nights like this. And definitely one of those. I am keeping my eye on. Again, I wish I could do picture-in-picture, but I can't because we are covering this game technically, but I would like to see between Dallas and Vegas what's going to happen on that one. I'll have to keep my eyes on that. Aiden Hill in the goal crease. He stopped 4-4. Jake Ottinger the same. That is a rematch of the Western Conference Finals. And you said it. The Devils and the Stars. That's what you like as far as the Stanley Cup Final with the Stars just missing out. But these are 2 good teams. And who knows? Because Dallas with Matt Duchene, I really like that pickup in the offseason. And that was just a simple buyout for Jim Mill's squad. And that's going to continue to add more damage.
At just 1 year and $3 million, that is a steal of steals, especially when you look at Duchene being 2 years removed from an 86-point season with the Nashville Predators. And even though he didn't hit that mark, he still had 50-something points last year. That's still a good production for a forward who has been really finding his stride wherever he goes, whether it be Colorado, Ottawa, Columbus, Nashville, the latest, and now Dallas, on the line with Mason Marshman and Tyler Seguin.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I'm looking through the Vegas schedule. I mentioned a little bit during the earlier broadcast. It started out with some soft serve, but again, Alek and I covered the opener where Seattle didn't play a bad game, but they still lost 4-1. 4-1 has been the scoreline for the Vegas all the way through. It's 4-1 victories against San Jose and Anaheim. Again, they're in the tougher part of their schedule with the Tuesday, Thursday with Dallas and Winnipeg, and then they'll go back and they'll play the Blackhawks, Flyers, and Blackhawks. So it's a real opportunity that Vegas, if I do my math correctly, out of 8 games, goes 7-1.
There is definitely a real opportunity at the best for them in going 7-1 and going off to that hot start. Because of how they've been rolling, they can definitely fire at will and they can impose said will on the other guys that they've been going up against.
Yeah, and they can reintroduce Logan Thompson.
They can. It's their 1B.
Yeah, it's a luxury of situations to have for Vegas. So certainly expect them to lead the Pacific. Again, I can't believe going into it, as we talk about an opening night, that they would be an 8th favorite as far as lifting the cup. And again, back-to-backs are hard to do, but I don't think there's a better team in the league right now than Vegas, top to bottom, as far as everything else like that. No disrespect to New Jersey, but I'm still going to roll with Vegas on that side for the interim. But I definitely do agree with Alek on the Dallas side. They have a lot to offer, but it should be an easy start to the year for Vegas, and I continue that they're going to have smooth sailing. Would they get maybe 110 points on the year? Probably not, but I don't think they're going to have too much trouble in the Pacific.
Yeah, me neither. As good as it gets for Vegas over the Pacific side, because it's a real opportunity to defend their division.
Yeah, it really is. And again, you have the best coach in the NHL, Bruce Cassidy. That I won't argue. That I think is blasphemous if anyone says otherwise. So Jake Cave, he is pinch hitting. It's 1-2. Jake Cave, he gets a curveball at 77. Is this going to split the gap? And this is going to get past Thomas. And the damage won't end. How far is Cave going to go? He tries to go for third. He's out. He got a little greedy.
I mean, sometimes you got to know when to stop at second. Sometimes you may need to know when going to bird is not the best idea to go through. Or did he get him?
Well, Rob Thomas has one more challenge, and they want to use that. Alek Thomas, even with his speed, he couldn't get there. And Jake Cave, to his credit, never stopped running. And do I see the tag in on a body part before? The first angle was not very good. The second one, oh, I don't know, Alek. That might have been late before the jersey. But they called him out.
I think it was late, but either way, even if you use a challenge, it's not going to matter much. The game has already been decided here. It's 10-0. You're up comfortably, and the decision to use a challenge or not, and you may find yourself in a position where you may not need to use the challenge because it's already an out-of-hand game.
Yes, it is. And Jake Cave kind of looked like me if I had one too many as he's robbing the third base line.
I mean, he got some pats in the back from his fellow teammates for his efforts. That's the same. I don't blame his teammates for getting pats in the pass and get his confidence up.
Yeah.
And prepare for bigger situations if he were to go somewhere else.
Yeah, it's definitely a well hit ball. And again, it's been a situation for the former Minnesota Twin, now turned Philadelphia Philly, and Mundo Sosa, former Cardinal. He's going to get a pinch hit at bat. Why not? He emptied the bench. Who wants it here? And late call off, but they are able to catch it in right field. And God forbid you don't want to drop another one of those.
You don't, because dropping another one just going to get the floodgates right open. I mean, getting over to where it feels like you're witnessing the Hoover Dam break, and that would not be a good scenario for residents of Southern Nevada. But glad it's still holding up there.
So I guess they're going to make us wait a little bit longer, as there's definitely been some cracks, but we're going to get a pitching change. I'm not really sure why in a 10-0 game, let's be completely honest, but this is just going to make the broadcast go another 5 minutes longer. It's 2 outs in the 8th, 10-0 Phillies.
And let me get over back to the NHL. Keep in mind the Hurricanes are playing tonight without Sebastian Aho, and it's still a 1-1 game against San Jose.
Is there any injury concerns there, or is it just a day off?
Let me check once again. But seeing with Aho, he is out of an upper body injury.
Oh, man. So hopefully it's nothing too crazy, because there's been a couple upper body injuries that I've seen across the league that some players will already miss extended time. I did talk about Tanev, but I know that there was one other one that I saw that went across the NHL Tonight tracker. I missed the name, but I saw someone else also going to miss about 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, you mentioned Tanev with that hit to the head, and that looked nasty when we saw it on opening night from Brett Howden. And then we mentioned about Kirby Doc with that ACL and MCL tears. Absolutely brutal for him. He's been really turning it around with Montreal, and to see him go out like this is heartbreaking and gut-wrenching.
Yes, it is. I'm looking at the injury reports by team just to try to see if I can pick up on anything else. Again, we talked about the opening day for Jack Quinn. He's going to miss some extended time for the Sabres, but they shouldn't have too much problem as far as their offense. Again, Ryan Suzuki going to miss some time for Carolina as well. So you got Svechnikov that Alek mentioned, and Suzuki, and then Colton Dock, as you mentioned, for several weeks. Landeskog is done for the rest of the year again. It's the second straight year, as he never even got a chance to get started. I kind of wonder, my friend, if Landeskog is going to suit back up in the NHL.
I wonder, because the last time we saw him, he was lifting the cup with his Colorado Avalanche.
Yes.
That was the last time we saw Landeskog in an Avalanche uniform. And you'd wonder if this is a legitimate question about him ever playing a game for them ever again, especially given the potential cap crunch that's going to come next summer.
Broken Bappe said, and that's a great jumping catch. as that ends the 8th. I wish I had more to say about that, but in a 10-run game, that's all we can wonder. Santa Claus in the building, I guess. We got everybody out there.
I mean, Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, Jack Frost. I mean, the Guardians from the North Pole, everyone from there. Get them all out because Christmas has come early for Phillies fans tonight.
Yes, it definitely has. I saw this on the Ottawa side. I know he's an Oxford, Michigan native, not too far from where I'm at now. But Josh Norris is still out for Ottawa. But I heard that he may come back at the end of the month.
That would be huge for the Senators because they need him to be a fixture long term in this lineup. Remember, the whole situation with Shane Pinto and his holdout, the contract status, we wonder if he's going to be signing a new contract with them or if it's going to be another Alex Formanton situation.
Am I wrong to say, and I know it's a while since we saw him, you could tell me honestly if I'm wrong, but is Josh Norris, he's a guy, I'm not going to say franchise player, but he's definitely someone that could fit in the first or second line.
Well, he's definitely someone who can fit somewhere in those top 6 forward core.
Okay.
Have him up with Kachuk or Tarasenko or Giroux or Bapperson. You cannot be wrong there, but Kachuk is they've already formed a nice chemistry on a 1-2 punch with each other.
Yeah.
So that'll get Norris down to second line.
Yeah, that's a situation where you could have a little more luxury there. I agree. Because when I get a chance to watch Brady Kachuk, I understand how good Matthew Kachuk is, but the younger brother is pretty damn good in Ottawa. I mean, he's having a great year so far.
Yeah, dating back to when he first came into this league, and he's only been going up from here through the years.
Yes, he has. I see Steven Stamkos listed as day-to-day. Hopefully nothing is too crazy about that one. And as far as anything else, we did mention that Alek Martinez and White Club, you don't expect them to be gone too long. Petrangelo was dinged up. He should only be day-to-day. And that is about it as far as anything else. So nothing major. And Orion Keckering, that is a hell of a name. 1-0, 3 on the ERA, 6 strikeouts and 2 walks in 3 innings. Again, it's a little bit of a soft toss situation, but just 3 outs left to get, and this game will be over. But it's felt like it's been over since the 3rd inning, maybe?
And as early as that and as late as the 6th inning, with how you want to put it, John.
Yeah, because the pitching, again, it's been a 3-0 lead for the most part for Miro Kelly when he kept his team in it. But when it absolutely got blown open, and we'll give you the reset, but when it absolutely got blown open and with back-to-back 4-run outings in the 6th and 7th, it was already over. I mean, Philadelphia darn near averaging a run a hit. It's 10 runs on 11 hits and 1 error from Trey Turner, just 3 hits on the other side. And you've emptied the bench, you've emptied the back-end bullpen. It's about as easy as you like for Rob Thompson's squad. As Tommy Pham is due up here, it's 1-2.
You wonder about Kerkering, young guy, being a reliever, and he can definitely put up in these situations. Perhaps wonder feature faces and being relied upon in bigger roles where he's going to see more and more action further for his career.
Yeah, and even in a situation like this, you're on the mound. You want to make sure to lock it down 1, 2, 3 and make sure there's no damage. And speaking of a perfect pitch, that's a sweeper in the black. Go take a seat, Tommy.
There it is. You see the new catcher, Garrett Stubbs. So you mentioned about it, John, about emptying the bench, getting your reserve guys out there on the field. You mentioned Jake Cade and Mundo Sosa. Everyone from there, get them in so that they can get some reps.
Get some reps and relish in the victory. You know, the crowd's been doing that. Christian Walker has not been able to come through in situations where there was runners available. Again, not now. It's pretty nigh impossible at this point with 2 outs left and down by 10. As Walker with a half cup, but he went around. It's 1-1.
Right, so with this going, you mentioned about this. It's not a same situation, but Kirkering is treating it like one. That's how these reserves are going to go at it.
Yeah, that one again, that's 98 on the inside black in the bottom quarter. That's a beautiful pitch. He is really playing this like there's bases loaded at this point with the way that he is pinpointing everything. And I'm trying not to be hyperbolic, but he's been on it right now at the top of the ninth, and he's tasked to finish this out. Everybody's been celebrating pretty much since first pitch, and that's an accurate statement. And this is slash to Brandon Marsh, and he'll get a base hit. Does Walker?
Oh, that's an announcer jinx. I don't want to say that, but
Well, Walker should have been able to come through. You would think in a certain situation, you would expect him to, as we talk about with 258 and 103 RBI and 33 home runs. Again, he's one of the top tier players that you can put in any lineup. And we'll see what happens with Gabriel Moreno. He's had a strong game. I know there's been a couple times where he was robbed on defensive plays, but I go back to it, as I mentioned through the broadcast, for the Dalton Varsho trade, losing Lourdes Gurriel Jr. in the offseason, and again for the Blue Jays when they got absolutely slapped by the Minnesota Twins. It's another year for guys like Bo Bichette, Kevin Biggio, Vlad Guerrero Jr., and at some point, you don't think you're going to be able to sign all of them, and you wonder what the Blue Jays' ceiling would be. I'll just throw that out there too.
you wonder about that because the window is right there for the Blue Jays. You got to capitalize on that. You can't just give up series wins to teams that haven't won a series in 21 years, in back-to-back years.
Right. And Moreno will sit down. So Kettering, that's a good job so far, and he's 1 out away for this game finally being over. But again, Alek, I am glad that you joined me in on this broadcast. I know you didn't have to, especially with this type of outing. But again, I appreciate it, my friend. This will probably count as our game of the week. We'll get the more conventional stuff maybe to the back end of the CS next week, and then we will definitely cover most of that World Series together. But this game has been an absolute laugher, and all that's left now is the final out for Lourdes Gurriel. It's 1-0.
I mean, without the Diamondbacks have displayed this effort, just 4 hits on the game. They've won 46 postseason games without being shut out entering tonight. It seems that may be finally coming to an end.
I think of one of the only times that the Diamondbacks made the postseason. I think that was like 99 with Randy Johnson or something like that. I want to say maybe like earlier in the 2000s that they won it. But this team seems like they might be running out of steam. As you said, 46 postseason games without being shut out doesn't happen very often. And a big swing and a miss. And the Diamondbacks mercifully down to their final strike.
You mentioned about the year they won it all, 2001.
Thank you.
Total World Series MVPs, Randy Johnson and Kurt Schilling.
That's the best of the best on that side, 2-2. And we will keep it alive for one more pitch. It's a full count. The runners can be off with 2 outs. And all that's left for the Phillies fans is just to celebrate and play that song that's at the end of it. Let's see what Gurriel can do. Kettering, as this is underneath it and fall back.
I'm looking back and forth between this game and the NHL slate because with everything happening tonight, I'm getting out my attention on this game and have my attention on the other 3 games.
No doubt about it. You are smarter than I am as we're locking this one in. And it's 98. It's popped up on the first base line. It will stay fouled. And we will do this for at least one more pitch. I have noticed that as soon as the postseason has gone on, we talk about pitch counts, engagements, and all that the games are supposed to be shorter. Well, right now it's a 3-hour, 13-minute broadcast, so this feels like a regular baseball game at this point, as things will slow down in the postseason as you would expect. We're waiting for another full count pitch for the 3rd time. Everybody's got their phones out. Strike 3 called, and the Phillies absolutely obliterate the Diamondbacks. It's 10-0. They take a 2-0 series lead as they go to Chase Field for 3, but it might not even take that long. This was a beatdown of epic proportions.
Oh, epic proportions that's maybe an understatement of how this game is being played. Certainly, without Bryce Harper getting robbed of a home run, you expect the final result to be 12-1 without the Diamondbacks almost got a home run as well. And then again, the Phillies, they've been firing left, right, center, everywhere.
Yeah.
You can point which direction, and you would not be wrong on where you would go. I mean, look at it. You got this loaded lineup with the Phillies between Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber as well, and everyone played their part. It was just a complete team effort by the Phillies on tonight, and it gives them some more room to think about on who to send out onto the mound. Most likely Rangers Suarez for Game 3. And then again, Philadelphia, as it says on the signs, 6 wins to go.
Again, I would give you some expanded post-game thoughts, but Alek just nailed the bullseye. The only thing that we can throw out there was Aaron Nola. For as good as Zach Wheeler was, Aaron Nola pretty much pitched a shutout for the time that he was out there. And, yeah, I mean, that's all that's left to say here. I'm glad that we were on the broadcast. Thank you for being here, my friend, and we'll see what goes forward here for Philadelphia. But I feel like they're halfway to the World Series already because they already officially are. And for Texas, we'll see if Houston can find a way, but it certainly feels like the Phillies and the Rangers will be the date. And when we get to that broadcast, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to next week. Between whichever one of these 4 teams meet, it's most likely going to be Texas and Philadelphia by the looks of it. I can't wait to see what's in store. I may not be available tomorrow between Max Scherzer and Christian Javier for the Rangers and Astros at Globe Life Field on the north side of Texas this time around, even though I've only explored the Houston area. Only been to the airport in Dallas, by the way. But perhaps a time to capitalize now if you're the Texas Rangers.
Yeah, you have to because time's running out on both of these squads. Thank you again, my friend. We'll do this again soon.